It's my great pleasure to welcome you to the 230th session of the AABN webinar series. Over the past 64 months, this forum has evolved into a dynamic and inclusive space for learning, collaboration, and innovation. With over 14,000 attendees, 229 sessions, and 200 plus speakers, we have built a truly global community committed to development and knowledge sharing. Our mission remains steadfast to empower entrepreneurs and change makers by showcasing sustainable models of success and encouraging meaningful engagement with the AAB knowledge base. Today's session promises to be both thought provoking and transformative. We are diving into a topic that blends ancient wisdom with modern inquiry. Is Vastu real or ruse? Let us unmask the truth from fakes and fear. This theme challenges us to look beyond superstition and commercial distortion and to rediscover the authentic essence of Vastu Shastra, India's ancient science of spatial harmony. To guide us through this exploration, we are honored to welcome Mr. J. Muthukumar, a visionary leader whose journey bridges science, philosophy, and spirituality. An alumnus of Annamalai University from the 1984 batch of chemical engineering and IIT Kharagpur, Mr. Muthukumar brings over 40 plus years of experience in upstream oil and gas, project management, risk mitigation, and integrated project delivery. He has held several leadership roles, including Managing Director, CEO, CTWO, COO, CDO, Head of IPM, and Global Group General Manager. He is the founder of Ajapa, India's pioneering IPM company in oil and gas, and the creator of iWells, an innovative IPM model. His academic pursuits also includes a postgraduate program in data sciences from the University of Texas, Austin, and certifications in nutrition, metabolic health, sleep stress management, and change psychology. Mr. Muthukumar's global engagements from boardrooms to tribal communities have shaped a unique worldview that integrates technical excellence with deep philosophical inquiry. He is a prolific author with titles such as Not a Second Sex, Live While You're Alive, the Bhagavad Gita for the 21st century, Sivajana Bhudam. Currently is working on several major books, including Integrated Indian Knowledge System, You Are Your Own Doctor from an engineer's perspective, The Hard Problem of Philosophy, It is Life and Nature, Rekindling Vastu, Unveiling the Truth Beyond Shadows and Distortions. His upcoming podcast series on Vastu aims to engage the 21st century generation with authentic insights, challenging fear based beliefs and commercial misinterpretations. We are truly privileged to have him with us today to help us unmask the truth behind Vastu and explore its relevance in our modern lives. Please join me in welcoming Mr. J. Muthukumar to the AABN webinar series. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Muthukumar.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And thank you, Mr. Gopi, for a good introduction. And I appreciate and really grateful for that, for the opportunity provided. And I think everyone can hear me. So let me start with Vastu. Vastu is known to everybody in India, at least. It brings a lot of reactions and emotions to people because it's deeply connected to our day-to-day life, the place we live, the place we construct, the place we move, whatever we do. Vastu is kind of inherent, even in business and offices. So the Vastu is a very complex subject because it involves several aspects, mainly apart from the intellectuality, knowledge, science, principles, tattvas, all this one side. The other side of Vastu is emotions, connectivity, fear, superstition, and all kinds of other reactions. It's a combination of both. So it has got intellectual level, science and principles, and commercial model, and then fears and beliefs and superstitions. It's a very complex subject. And when you apply Vastu science into architecture, it also takes a deep depth into it from the ancient time. So I would like you to follow up very closely because sometimes it can become a dry subject beyond talking about if you put your bedroom here and study room here, kitchen here, you'll get promotion, you'll get married to a foreigner, or you'll make money out of this, or your business will be successful. Apart from this modern approach, the real Vastu, what it is. We are going to look at it. And so I don't know whether the time is available, 1.5 hours or 2 hours is enough for that. There may be a lot of questions from all of you. So I don't want to, one thing I would like to say that because Vastu is such a subject, it has to be interactive. A lot of interfacing has to happen. So at any point of time, if anyone is want to have a question or get a clarification, instead of waiting towards the end, please stop and raise your hand or call for a discussion, and then please ask your question. We'll try to answer as quickly as possible so that it is more useful for all the people. And in case I do not know whether it's enough for completing the whole thing in 2 hours, if Mr. Gobi agrees and if all the people are happy to do a second part of it, we can do it at a convenient time after Diwali. But I think Vastu is a very, very important subject. Let's go into that. So, are we denouncing Vastu or glorifying Vastu? I would like to say very clearly that it is not about denouncing Vastu as a useless subject or to glorify Vastu as one of the best things that happen. What we are going to do is to bring in harmony between the ancient and classic Vastu, Vidya, what we call, into a modern contemporary Vastu. We'll bring an harmony into that. And to explore how Vastu can be effectively used for better living, using Vastu principles and science, and mainly without fakes, fear, superstition, and commerce-based practices. That's what we should aim for. So with this, actually, when anybody hears about Vastu in India, you get into 4 different reactions. One group of people will dismiss it immediately as superstition, is a myth, it is useless, is waste, no science is there. They will just dismiss it. Some will use it very effectively, using the proper science and principles behind it, and they use it effectively. And many of the people are skeptical, but they will be afraid. What happens if there is truth? Is it a risk not to follow it? So just to follow them, although they are skeptical, they will just follow it. But majority of the people, unfortunately, follow Vastu blindly with fear and superstition and belief systems. I do not know where do you stand on it, but what is the actual truth? Just think about a minute, where do you stand on these 4 groups? So that keep your mind ready for facing what we are going to discuss now and explore, basically, what is the truth behind it. So, Vastu really influence our day-to-day life? Is it like astrology, where the planets actually influence, that's just believed like that? Is Vastu also influence our day-to-day life? What is the connection between house and a human being? Does it really bring fortune and joy or misfortune and sorrow? I think we should all explore it together, focusing our mind into the system. So, Vastu knowledge. Please let me know when you want me to go slow and explain it more detail, or any questions, please ask me. Vastu knowledge is a tier of 3 systems combined. One is Shastra, which is science. Second is myth, which is called Aitihya in Sanskrit. And third is a belief system called Astikya. All 3 are combined is the Vastu knowledge. Let's take an example of what is the science behind Vastu. Early morning sun rises between northeast, east, and southeast based on the summer or winter solstices. That's a science. We all know that. Belief is northeast corner is associated with Isanya, Isa, which is Lord Shiva, which is purity and consciousness. But what's the myth involved? If you have a toilet in the northeast, it will bring a lot of misfortune, sorrow, and despair and crisis for the family. It's a fear mongering. What we are going to do is, what is the science behind Vastu? What are the beliefs associated? And what are the myths and belief systems are going to be there? Is it really harmful to keep a toilet in the northeast? We'll see it in detail as per Vastu literature. So what does Vastu means? Vas is a Sanskrit root word. It's called dwelling. So when you say Vastu, Vastu means a place where people live. That's what is Vastu. Suppose you are living in a house or a dwelling, it's called Vastu. Vastu is a place where people live. It can be a house, simple house, maybe a multi-story building or a palace or a temple where God lives. Temple is also Vastu because God is living in temple as we believe. So Vastu Shastra is a science of dwelling, residing sites for the homes, houses, palace, temples, towns, even cities. And Vastu Purusha is the one is very important to understand, because every Vastu consultant you go today, they talk about Vastu Purusha Mandala, Vastu Purusha, all these things. Vastu Purusha is a personified spirit or energy which will occupy your plot. As soon as you decide to construct a plot, a house in a plot, it believes that Vastu Purusha will come and occupy it. It will keep its head on the northeastern direction and its leg on the southwestern direction. This is the shape of the Vastu Purusha. The right leg towards the southeast and the left leg towards knee towards the northwest. This is the shape of the Vastu Purusha. You'll occupy it. And so you can see from a technical side, Vastu Purusha is square in shape. So basically, the square plot is the most recommended from a Vastu perspective. But rectangle also accepted. We'll go into the perimeter and all these things later on. But Vastu Purusha, remember it, very important. And most importantly, Vastupati is not a god, it's a devata, what you can call, is called as a guardian of the dwelling. So if your house is there, your house is protected by, not by all the gods you hang in your puja room. As per Vastu, Vastupati is a devata who protects your house. So basically, your plot is constructed as per Vastu Shastra according to the Vastu Purusha Mandala. That's the fundamental. Many Vastu consultants will talk about it, and they'll talk about the orientation model, but look at it as later on. But one important thing, we have to remove the misconception. Some Vastu people say that Vastu means materials and objects, so you can move this material, you can put a fish here, you can put a laughing Buddha here. That is Vastu, nothing to do with Vastu. Vastu means materials and objects. Vastu is completely different from that, so let us not get it confused with Vastu and Vastu. So Vastu Purusha is a very important to understand. Vastu Purusha. If you want to understand Vastu, Vastu Purusha is a must in the Vastu architecture. Is a personified spirit, is imagination, is a symbolic representation. Is not act equal, is not science, it is not perspective, it's a symbolic representation. What is saying is, Earth is a feminine, Vastu is a masculine figure. So when you want to construct a house, the Vastu Purusha, it comes and unionizes with the earth at the house site. So what happens here is, this is empty left side, what is the empty house site? As soon as you say, I want to construct a house, you start constructing the house, then Vastu Purusha will come and occupy the entire area. So your house plot has to be designed as per the Vastu Purusha. And that is given in a beautiful scientific approach in all the Vastu architecture and what happens at every aspect of the Vastu Purusha Mandala. Okay, let's go with that now. So before we go into the science of Vastu, now all this thing you have seen, Vastu Purusha Mandala, Vastupati, come on guys, it's all about something very mystic and all these things. Who believes this? Where is Vastu Purusha Mandala? All questions will come, right? But remember, it's all symbolic representation, everything. And we'll see how it is connected to the scientific approach of the Vastu architecture. But before we do that, let's find out how old is Vastu. The first sign of word of Vastu comes in Rig Veda, about 4,000 years ago. In the Rig Veda, 7th Mandala, 54th Rig, 1 to 3 sloka, Vastupati is invoked when they're constructing a small house to bring prosperity to the people who are dwelling in that house. So Vastupati is actually about 4 or 5 slokas go into that, but I only put the first 3 here. So Vastupati is heavily blessed, prayed for getting the blessing of that. That's the first time Vastupati comes into the entire world, even in the Indian architecture. Then Jyotisha came in around 3,200 years ago as part of the Vedangas of the Veda, which actually brought the astronomy. The first time in the world, much before Greece, much before anybody. It's actually amazing. If you look at the Jyotisha book, you read it, they brought the astronomy into cardinal directions. Cardinal means the original directions, which is north, east, south, and west, and southeast, northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest. The 8 directions are cardinal. The astronomical management, and based on the celestial events, when this will happen, when that will happen, based on the stars and nakshatras, they brought this Jyotisha into that. But remember that one important thing, Jyotisha was primarily astronomy for directions and orientation. It was not astrology, not personal horoscope for marriage and ceremonies and birthdays and Graha Pravesam. No, Jyotisha was never meant for that when it came in. The personal astrology, predictive astrology of horoscope came into Jyotisha later on. but I don't think it's time for discussing now. We'll see how astrology, the personal horoscope and predictive astrology went into Jyotisha later, some 600, 800 years after Jyotisha was introduced. Then the most important Atharva Veda, around 3000 years ago, Stapatya Veda was the first thing which came kind of a Vastu, which created orientation, directions, and the proportions. Proportions is a very, very important aspect in Vastu. You have to remember that. Proportions, the length and breadth and height is a very, very important regulation in Vastu, not only for only one floor building, for 2-story, 3-story, 5-story, up to 12 stories Vastu architecture was there. On every floor, the proportions are very important. Length, breadth, and the width. Height, sorry. Then Shilpa Sastras, the first one around 2800, 2500 years ago, they perfectly brought a geometry for altar construction, for all the yajanas. For every yajna, they created a shape of a particular yajna, rectangle, square, triangle, octagonal, pentagonal. You won't imagine that 3000 years ago, they were able to create a yajna with the dimensions of a pentagon model, octagon model, and hexagon, hexagon, not octagon. Maximum they went up to 6. Hexagon model, circle, and triangle, and perfectly said for this particular yajna, you have to go to this particular length, breadth, and height, and how it has to be done. That's where the first geometry came into picture, and with the proper proportions. So later on, we go into there are a lot more texts, and I'm not listing all of them, but these are the most important one. But when Vastu became a Shastra as a science, was first brought by the Varaha Mihira. All of you know Varaha Mihira is the greatest astronomy and scientist. After Aryabhatta, Varaha Mihira came in. He created a lot of books on even zero placeholders and all these things. Varaha Mihira is one of the best astronomic scientists the world has ever seen. And he wrote a book called Brihat Samhita. In that, he wrote about a lot of things, but he brought Vastu as a proper chapter in the book. And that's the first time Vastu became a Shastra on the 6th century CE, almost 1500 years ago. Again, remember, nobody in the entire world even thought about architecture as a Shastra. Greece and Europe, nobody, even Roman Empire. This was done first time in the Brihat Samhita. Then about the 6th, 10th century CE, around same time, 1000 years to 1500 years back, the most important, the first Vastu architecture book called Manasara and Maya Mata came. Manasara is more towards the northern India. Maya Mata is more towards the southern India aspect, but both of them have an overlapping relationship or respect architecture. So Vastu became an architecture document by Manasara and Maya Mata. And whatever people do today is all coming from Manasara and Maya Mata. Every Vastu consultant, whether they know it or not, when they talk about orientation or anything, it comes from Manasara and Maya Mata, the basic reference documents. After that, for next 700, 800 years, Vishwakarma, if you look at any Vastu consultant, they'll say we are a descendant of Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma taught us this. Vishwakarma ancestors taught us this Vastu Shastra. That's what they will tell. So Vishwakarma Vastu Shastra, Silparatna, Samarangana Sutradhara is one of the most famous Vastu document written by King Bhoga. And Rajavallabha is another highly referenced Vastu document. And the last one, around before the Mughal emperor came to India, the last Indian-wise, pan-India-wise Vastu book was written by Avrajita Pricha. And after that, no major Indian level, pan-Indian level Vastu books were written. Because once the Mughal emperor entered the 15th century, after the colonial rule, the old science, like what happened to Vedas, Upanishads, Nyaya, other darshanas, Sankhya, Yoga, how everything got declined under the British colonial rule, Vastu as an architecture also declined. So there are several more texts, and I'm not listing them, all of them here. But what happened after the 15th century? Mughal emperor came in, then colonial rule around the 18th century, where the Vastu rules are completely severed. Because colonial always, as they did for all other Indian knowledge systems, they also did the Vastu also in sideline. European influence came in. They brought European architecture to the country. And 1908, remember, that's the time the first architecture education started in India. And the European system wanted all our engineers to think about European culture. They want to construct European buildings in India. They want to create European models. So they moved all the Vastu related architecture. Remember, until that time, Vastu was not astrology. It was an architecture document. A complete college degree can happen on Vastu architecture. But they just removed it. So post-independence, what happened? Our European influence continued in everything. In education, it continued. School system, it continued. Curriculum, whatever we do, we followed the European influence, right? Same thing was to happen. Then suddenly, Vastu as a tradition was completely removed and from the Vastu architecture curriculum in the colleges and everywhere. And that's the time science was growing up. All over the world, science became a major thing. And then Vastu people could not do anything. So fringe science was introduced to kind of demonstrate Vastu is also scientific. They brought so many justifications Vastu as a science and brought the belief systems and all these things. And slowly, myth and belief, people's expectations, superstition kind of increased and became a commercial business in the last 40 years. Before that, it was not commercial. But last 30 years, Vastu is a big commercial business. That's what happened. So before we go into Vastu architecture, we have to also, many people say Greece was the birthplace. Even many Vastu consultants say Greece was the birthplace of Vastu. It's not correct. Greece was the birthplace for astrology, personal horoscope, not for the Vastu. Look at our India, for example. The Pragadishwar temple built almost 1,000 years back. It's completely based on Vastu culture. And we got astronomy 3,200 years back. Yajna, dimensions and proportions, 3,200 years back. Shilpa Sastra, same time. So we combined spirituality, aesthetic, and science precision into our temples. If any of you visited the Pragadishwar temple in Tanjore, you will see the beauty of the Vastu architecture. Compare Greece now. Is a Parthenon in Greece. They also built based on their astronomical, mathematical harmony. They believed more of orientation, mathematical harmony in proportions called golden ratio. Greece introduced golden ratio, whereas Vastu introduced Ayadi Sarga, which I will discuss later. Something very, very good. Actually, it's a pride actually for us as Indians. Look at Vastu introduced around 1,500 years back something called Ayadi Sarga, which is similar to, which much better than the golden ratio introduced by the Greece later on. So conclusion-wise, India Vastu blended ritual, geometry, and astronomy. But Greece, there was no Vastu at all in Greece. No Vastu concept. It's more of a mathematical harmony in the architecture. So having cleared all these things, now we'll go to the fundamental principles of classic Vastu. When I say ancient and classic Vastu, it is before the 15th century. Remember that. Classic Vastu is before Mughal emperor entered India. Classic, all the Vastu architecture. The last one is Apajita Pricha. There was the last one. After that, no classic Vastu was written. The modern Vastu books are more or less taken information from there and modified to the modern requirement. So original Vastu classic is always before the 15th century. Remember that. So first important thing we have to understand is Vastu in classic is an architecture of construction, not astrology. That's very important to understand. If anybody says that Vastu is an astrology, it is absolutely wrong. It's not. It all came in later on. So what Vastu as an architecture taught? Manasara, Mayamata, Shilparatna, Vishwakarma, Samarana, Sutradhara. Every Vastu book talked about one thing: Bohatyam. Bohatyam means where you are living, you should bring comfort and facilities to you. That is Bohatyam, the first principle. Second principle, Shukha Darsham, means it has to be pleasing to the eye. When people say it should be beautiful, it should be aesthetic with a harmony. Outside should be very harmonious with the length and breadth and height, beautifully proportionately done. And it has to be, that is what Shukha Darsham. Third is Ramyam. It should be charming. When people see you feel very happy, good vibration in your heart, beautiful house, boss, acha hai. Harmonious and with a beautiful environment and nature surrounding it. And also it has auspiciousness, orderly, spacious, stable, and strong. All are the fundamental principles of Vastu architecture. But absolutely none of the Vastu architecture, the books I listed, nobody says about fear and superstition. They talk about good and bad, positive and negative, but they never say that if you do this, your wife will die. If you do this, your elder son will have a problem. If you do this, divorce will happen. If you do this, immediately there will be a loss of misfortune. They will never mention. Not even a single text says that it's going to happen. It only says there will be a misfortune, there will be a loss, there will be a negative side of it, but they don't specifically say that if you put Buja room in the northeast corner, tomorrow you'll go to America for education. They never say that. Not a single Vastu book. Okay, no fear, no superstition, no specific threatening issues actually. So this is a beautiful Vastu house of Rajasthan. It is designed by Vidyadhar Bhattacharya, a great Vastu architecture by a 9 by 9 Vastu Purusha Mandala. It's one of the best example of a Vastu constructed palace in Rajasthan. So, Vastu has a 7 design concept. To bring all this Bhagatiyam, Shukadarsham, Ramyam and all these things, it has got 7 design concepts. So if you want to construct a house, in the olden days, the 7 design concepts are a must to follow. Nobody will bypass even one of them. The 7 of them are, the first one is orientation. The most important is orientation. Dig Nirnaya. And that is what today's Vastu consultants, all of them follow. If you go today, you go to any Vastu expert, Vastu consultant, talk about northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest, this and that. Orientation is a must thing. They all follow it. There's no problem on that. The second one is the site selection. It's very important. Boss, can you go on mute? The site selection is Bhumi Pariksha. It's a very, very important aspect in Vastu. But today, Vastu consultants don't do the site selection. They stop at the orientation model. They give it to the architecture for site selection. But they don't say it because they all plot constructed. You just go on into a plot and buy a plot. Where you select the site. It's already purchased, right? Site selection is the most important thing there. Third is the sixth. That's Ayadi Sadvarga. The golden ratio of Greece, you remember? They got 6 canons called Ayadi Sadvarga. It's an amazing feat. You will be surprised when I explain what is Ayadi Sadvarga, seriously speaking. But today, no Vastu consultant follow this Ayadi Sadvarga because they are limited to the orientation. Next is the proportions, which are very, very critical. Without proportions, no Vastu architecture can exist. Next one is the site planning, Pada Vinyasa, which is a Vastu Purusha Mandala, where what will come, where the puja room will come, where the kitchen will come, where the bedroom will come. All these things are coming in the Pada Vinyasa, which is the site planning, Vastu Purusha Mandala. The last one is the alignment with the Panchabhutas, 6th element, which is already, we know, Panchabhutas means water, air, fire, earth, and Akasha, sky. The last one is aesthetics, Chanda Lakshana. It's very, 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 in Vastu, out of all the 6, Chanda Lakshana, if we do not follow, irrespective of the best Vastu, your time, Kala, your Desa, place, your Parva, environment and people will bring no good effects at all. Your Vastu will fail completely if the Chanda Lakshana is not done well. Chanda Lakshana is up to every one of us. It's important. Let's discuss that. So we will go into one by one. I don't think, just imagine, 3,000 years back, you are there. Just imagine that you are Vishwakarma or Varaha Mihira, or even the guy who wrote the Sulpa Sastras. You are standing on top of the mountain, Himalayas, any mountain, and you're looking at it. Just imagine that. Early morning, sun is rising with no pollution at all. What will you think about it? Close your eyes. How many people get up early in the morning and see sunrise? I do not know. Just imagine the situation. You are 2,000 years back with no pollution. You're standing on top of a mountain. You're looking at a beautiful dawn coming up, and then sun is rising to the east. What a sight it is. Just imagine a rishi that 2,000 years back is thinking, this is bringing so much of warmth, so much of optimism and confidence. Everything is coming into life. The grass is coming into life. All the plants coming into life. Flowers coming into life. Birds coming into life. The dispersed darkness. That's the beauty they thought about it. They thought how this sun can be used for our life. That's the beauty of it. So first is orientation. So Dignaya, that sun orientation became very important for them. Remember, there was no electricity at all, even 100 years back. Nobody can put a switch and get a light at 2 o'clock in the morning. So after sunset, there was more darkness. Everywhere darkness. Maybe candle light or some light was there, but it was almost darkness. So morning sun dispels the darkness, brings light, warmth, optimism to life. So what happens because of that? The morning sun became sacred and valuable. They don't know anything about UV rays, ultraviolet rays, good for vitamin D, health and all. They didn't know anything about it. Today, modern doctors are saying that. But though they knew the morning sun rays, when they're taken on the empty body, it gives them real strength and happiness and joy, some kind of a peace and serenity. And serotonin, which is important for when you get up in the morning, if you do not, you feel energy, only your serotonin actually segregates a lot. If a serotonin hormone does not secrete in the morning, you will not feel very happy and energetic. That's why the eastern sunrise, it actually your hypothalamus in your brain gets impacted by the sunrise. Your serotonin boosting happens. That's why when you get up early in the morning, see a sunrise, you become very energetic and very thoughtful. Your mind works beautifully, more briskly. You can read much more in the early morning than the evening. So sunrise, they knew that this is what happening for them. So that's what they did. Brahma Muhurta they brought in, and they ensured that early morning you get up and watch the sunrise. So it became so. But at the same time, the other direction like south, southwest, north, northwest, they did not discard them as harmful. Harmful negativity to all the directions came from the modern Vastu, not in the olden days. They preferred the sunrise direction, but they did not discard the other directions. It's very important to understand. Next is the science. So, what is the alignment with the nature? This is a very important subject for you, even for your own house. You don't have to really think about it. It's more scientific perspective. It's not about some vastus, symbolic or old, ancient, some bullshit. Somebody thought about it. It's not. It is science today. It is proven by science also. That is what they understood in a different language. Let's see one. What is Northeast? Think about it. When you think about Northeast, the first thing comes to your mind is morning sunlight. Most of India is slightly above the equator. We come later. I'll show you that. Is most of the time sunrise and sunlight comes maximum from the northeastern direction. Ultraviolet rays comes in. Beautiful ventilation, airflow happens, and very cool in the morning. Early morning air is very cool. That is very, very. That's why they say you keep puja room, a study room, something like that in the northeastern. Yoga, you do pranayama, meditation, everything, because air is cooler, good ventilation, beautiful UV rays coming into you. Then in the eastern side, morning sunlight also comes in the eastern side, less than the northeastern side. But this is only applicable to India. If you go to North Pole or if you go to Europe, this may not apply. Remember that. Vastu was mainly for Indian conditions I am putting here. UV rays also is there in the eastern direction. Cross ventilation from east to west is high and slowly warms up. Okay, and serotonin boost, I said, when you see the east directly, highest serotonin boost happens, your morning will be very, very bright. That's why people say, get up in the Brahma Muhurta, don't sleep up to 9 o'clock, don't sleep up to 11 o'clock. Today, all the youngsters, even the parents allow them to sleep up to 11 o'clock. But that's why when they get up, they are foggy, groggy, they don't have a very active brain because serotonin boosting is not happening. That happens naturally by looking at the east in the morning. It's very important. And then southeast kitchen we say about it because late morning sunlight. One of the most important thing about southeast is the light is throughout the day. There will be light in the southeast. It doesn't become very from morning to evening until sunset. Light generally prevails in the southeast direction. I'll come to that why it is like this. We'll discuss later. And it's moderate and good for fire or cooking. The next one is the north. North is very important because again, morning sunlight slowly comes in there, some UV rays, cross ventilation. It's also very calm, cooler, and low midday sun. During the midday, sun is very low in the northern side. Now, the worst part, people say south is Yama, south is death, south cannot go, and all these things. Every Vastu consultant will say south is bad, it's death, Yama's direction. Don't do that. Why? Is because of science-wise, it's midday sunlight. And it is high infrared. There is no ultraviolet rays in the southern direction, infrared. And many Vastu consultants say infrared is harmful for health. No, it is infrared rays bring heat load. So southern side direction, it will be very hot in the afternoon. But between 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock, it will become very hot in the southern direction and very low ventilation will happen. Because of that, the southern direction is not generally accepted by Vastu. And southwest, same thing, is the warmest because evening when sun is setting in the southwest direction, it will become high infrared, it will be hot, very low ventilation, it will be warmest actually. Then on the western direction, the same thing, is cooler than southwest, it's much better, but it is also moderate wind and all these things. It's not a very great direction. Northwest is same thing, late afternoon light, minimum ultraviolet, will softer lighting, depending upon where you are. If you are in the near the Punjab area or near in Chennai area, is completely different because of the way it is. The evening time, the ventilation, cooling effects can happen. It can't apply for the entire India. Northwest, depending upon where you are. So this is a scientific perspective. Now, very interesting fact is our Vastu architecture in 1500 years back, they knew this 100%. They may not tell what is infrared, they may not say what is ultraviolet, but they knew this is what is happening across the entire day. Now they created the Vastu architecture based on this for Dik Nirnaya, only one. Today, most of the Vastu consultants try to say this orientation model, but they don't do the remaining 5 canons, the only one. But this is one aspect of it our ancestors understood. And you can also see that northeast is water. We'll come to that later, but Panchaputas, water is the northeast, fire is the southeast, earth, Prithvi is on the southwest, and air, Vayu on the northwest, center part is Akasha. That's why if you look at some of the Kerala houses, beautiful houses in Kerala, the center part, even sometime in Chettinad houses, if you go to Tamil Nadu, Chettinad houses, beautiful center part is completely open to the sky, and there's a beautiful veranda, then the rooms are there, and the outer veranda, exactly as per Vastu, as per this they've done. They will have a water pond on the northeastern direction, kitchen on the southeastern. Beautiful houses. They also lived gloriously on the houses actually there. The next is site selection. For every one of you, when you buy a land, when you want to construct a house, the most important thing Vastu people do, classic Vastu, not the today's Vastu consultants don't even bother about this because you already purchased the plot. You're already telling them to do anything. The architects are doing something with that. First thing they will find out is whether the site selection is a geopathic or not. Some people do it today also, geopathic zones. But in the olden days, what they find out is the area, the plot is good enough. Does it have a water vein, water flowing below that? Is there any fissures below the ground? There's any underground cavities? Is there any other disturbance are happening below the ground? They test it. How they test it? They test it based on stability. They make sure that the land is stable. They'll also look at the fertility. This is very important points of site selection because when you go to your house, let's assume that a husband and wife is going to your house. What is expected? They have to get the progenies. They have to get children. The children have to grow. Their children will get married. They will also live in that house. They will get a children. So the fertility, and not only with the children, it's also about fertility means you are good food, all kinds of healthy habits. You're able to eat good food. You are doing fire. So you have a fertility in everything. So they select the land for fertility. Then they'll also, not for the underground water flow, but they will also ensure that there's a water available for digging a well or something. Water flow is there. And they will also look at the smell and taste. If it's salty or ashy, they will not select it. If it is a smell, it has to be very good. It should not be smelling bad, like a bad fish or something like that. They will do it. They also termite-ridden land, they will remove it completely. Sometimes what they do is in the night time, they'll put a small hole, put water there. Next day morning, they will watch it and see if the water is seeping or not. If it's very porous, the water completely drains out. It is not a good site. There should be some water remaining in that small hole they created. It should not be 100% porous. Similarly, they will also they'll dig a small hole in a kind of wooden pot or mud pot. They'll put milk and keep it there. Next day morning, they will see. If the milk is spoiled, then it's not a good site. The milk should be okay in the morning after 12 hours or 8 hours, depending upon Manasara or Mayamata. Everything is defined in the Manasara and Mayamata. So this is how they select the site first time. And next important thing is what is important. Everybody says southwest should be higher and heavier. Northeast should be lower and lighter. All of you know that because every Vastu consultant, they say this. Southwest should be tall. They'll put a water tank on the top of the southwest, ensuring that it's the tallmost, highest point in the building. They'll make sure the northeast corner is just lower than the southwest somehow, right? But why it came up? What is Vastu architecture says? It doesn't say that you construct a water tank above the southwest. What it's saying is that in most of the olden days, okay, there is no sump tank like what we have, right? They will have a pond or a well. So the well, basically what they do is, because they want that open water in the pond to see the sunlight on the northeastern side. Remember, northeastern sunlight brings ultraviolet rays, beautiful cosmic energy and all these things. So they want to ensure that the pond water is there. And when you go and take a bath, you do pranayama, yoga, whatever you do, you actually look at the sun and take a bath. So when you're taking a bath, you're able to see the sun take the rays into your body. That's why they keep a pond or well near the northeast direction. And because of that, what they said, drainage. Four reasons for southwest to be higher. Not putting a water tank is not a solution there. What they said is drainage. Northeast is the location for water bodies. My pond or well has to be north. Like rainwater harvesting. What they do, we try to put there somewhere, right? But what they say is like rainwater harvesting, natural drainage. The water should flow from the southwest towards the northeast because it is a pond is there and a well is there. So all the water should come to the northeast. to the pond, rainwater, whatever comes to that. So natural drainage should be there in the southwest to northeast. Second aspect is sunlight and heat. What they say, southwest, as we discussed, you remember, in this direction, southwest receives the maximum heat in the late afternoon sun. It will be very hot. So that is why southwest should be higher and heavier. When it's there, it blocks the heat, and the thicker walls of the southwest direction reduces the heating on the inner dwelling. That's why southwest should be higher and heavier. You can put heavy subjects there to obstruct the sunlight coming in, the heat coming in. But northeast has to be lower, mainly because sunlight has to enter without any obstacle. If you put a big wall there in the northeast direction, and sunlight cannot enter there. So you need to keep a bigger window or a door there, so sunlight can enter there. Okay, and it has to be lighter, because why they're saying lighter? You don't put a very heavy bureau or a cupboard or some kind of a big statue there to block the sunlight entering into the house or entering into the pond, wherever it is. That is why you don't put a very big, thick compound wall in the northeast. There's not. You should allow the sunlight to enter in. That is why northeast should be lighter and lower. Southwest should be heavier and thicker. It's a very important. This is what written in Maya Mata and Manasura and Vishwakarma. Not in the modern Vastu. It's different completely. Third point is that symbolic. Symbolically, everybody believes that we said Vastu is a belief system. Northeast belongs to Isanya, Lord Shiva, which is pure light and divine. So don't put any heavy load on that. Don't put. It has to be lower so that it's able to get the blessings of Isanya and something like that. South is called Nairiti, Prithvi or Pitru. People call it several ways. It can be heavy material and grounded, mainly because it's also towards the side of our ancestor. So ancestors, there are a lot of, I don't want to go into very detail, but they mentioned about there can be an ancestral curses can be there. There may be a bad death in the ancestral system. Some ancestor might have committed suicide or something like that. We don't know. So many things will happen in a history of life. So your Pitru is in the southwest direction. That is why they said that keep it heavy and make it materialistic and grounded so that it protects the dwelling people who are dwelling in the houses. A symbolic representation. The last one is practical application. What is practical application? Northeast should have an entrance so beautiful. When you open up, there's a light coming in the morning. The ventilation is good. The airflow comes up very good. When people are entering the house, they feel very ramyam. That's what is happening. Pleasing and harmonious. Northeast. Southwest is master's abode. The master bedroom has to be there. Because it's heavy, thick wall, you don't keep a door on the southwest side, so you can't welcome guests or people coming from outside from the southwest, because your walls are thickness. It also should be protective, safe, and master bedroom should be there. Why southwest should be a master bedroom? We'll discuss it also later. So these are the 4 reasons they wanted to keep southwest higher and heavier and northeast lighter and lower. Not because of any other thing of how the modern Vastu things happening actually. And just constructing a tank on top of the house, southwest eyeing up, is not going to solve the problem. It's a modern parihar, pariharam solvanga. Parihar it is. It's not going to help like that way. You understand the science behind it, the principle behind it. You can appreciate how beautifully our ancestors thought about this. So now we are coming to the most important aspect of it. After we selected the site based on the various things, and we also done the nirnaya, the directions is done. Ayadi Sadvarga is a critical aspect. This is very, very important. Every one of them are based on calculus and formulas. The first one is Aya. Aya has to be very positive to give growth, gain, and increase. I'll explain there's a formula for it beautifully. Then there's the Vyaya. Vyaya means expenditure loss. It's like a profit and loss statement in your office and even home. You get a profit, you have an expenditure. At the end, your revenue minus expenditure should be a profit. If your revenue minus expenditure is a negative, you are under loss, right? Same way, your plot construction Vastu, Aya is our revenue, Vyaya is expenditure, Aya minus Vyaya should be positive. So basically, third is, before I go to that, Riksha, which is constellation alignment. This is a beautiful thing which I don't think anybody is doing that. What they do here is, you are the owner of the house. Whoever is the owner of the house or the main head of the family, his nakshatra is aligned with the plot's nakshatra. They also calculate the nakshatra of the plot. I don't think anybody doing that. There's a formula how to calculate the nakshatra of the plot. So if you're so they made up like this, like how we are doing the horoscope, and then the nakshatra of the boy is matching with nakshatra of the girl. Like that, nakshatra of the land also has to match with the nakshatra of the owner. So there's a constellation alignment model. Riksha is there, and with all this, Aya must be greater than Vyaya. It's a fundamental. If Aya is not greater than Vyaya, don't construct the house there or do something else to modify that. You have to make Aya greater. I don't think anybody is doing that today, but it's the most important aspect in Maya Manasara and Maya Mata, Vishwakarma, every book. This must be done. If a house does not have Aya, this income, the revenue is not higher than the expenditure, then it's not a suitable place. Next is Yoni, source orientation, because there's 8 cardinal directions, which we saw, north, east, south and west, and the northeast and all of them. 8 Yoni directions are there. It has to align, as we discussed already, towards the northeast or east or whatever it is. We discuss that later. And the next one is a Vara, ruling or suitable day. It is based on the 7 days of the week. It's called solar alignment. Solar day alignment means which day is good for you to commence the construction of the site, which way is good for entry into the house, which day is good for living in the house, whatever it is. People today call it as Graha Pravesha day, whatever it is, but it is called Vara, 7 days of the week, or solar week alignment. The last one is the Tithi, which is a lunar cycle. In the Vara, you're aligning with the solar alignment. In the Tithi, you're aligning with the lunar alignment, 30 days. Moon's time is between the full moon to full moon is 30 days time. Actually, it's 27.8 days, but average they taken 30 days. 30 days alignment. So all of the 6 of them. Mr. Manogar, please go ahead. Do you have some question? Hello, Mr. Manogar. Unmute to ask the question, please.
Sorry, sir. By mistake, it has got touched. I'm sorry.
Okay, understood. Okay. So the Vara is the 7 lunar
Sir, I
days.
have a question. So can I interrupt? Sir?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So is this applicable for the industrial units also? Like nowadays, a lot of things are being done in the industries also. Normally, only the barren lands are being given away for building the industrial area and all parks and all. So these kind of things, is it applicable to industries?
Yes, wherever people are living or working, it is applicable. It's also applicable to temples also, because they believe that gods are living there. So industry, everywhere, wherever people are working or living, it is applicable.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So all the 6 of them have to be harmonious. If any one of them are not matching, the site is not good. But you have to remember one thing. Those days, there was no plot construction like this. You go to a 1 acre, construct them into 14 plots, and people are buying it. People always go and buy north facing, I'm buying it. South facing, I don't want it. Something like that. South facing plots are cheaper. North facing plots are costlier. Corner plots facing north and east is very expensive. Corner plots facing south and west is a lower cost. People just buy it, right? In those days, that kind of plots are not there. People had maybe even 30, 40 cents in open area. So if the plots are sizes, they're not good, they'll move to another area like that. So it is a different kind of setup 1,500 years back. This kind of 1 acre into 14 plots, 15 plots, half a ground, 3/4 of a ground is not there those times. So it's important to understand that. So, but all the 6 of them have to harmoniously built in rule it. Now, I would like to take up one important thing, and every one of them are calculated by a formula. It's not coming up and saying that, hey, do this, do this, do this. No, everything is a calculation. This Vara and Tithi is not from Panchangam. You have to remember, you don't go to an astrologer, ask for a Panchanga. You don't do that. You do it yourself. As a Vastu consultant, he will do it himself. You will not go to astrologer, ask him to give a Panchanga, look at Vara, good day for me. No, it is based on a calculation, based on a formula. You and me can do it. You don't need your astrologer to look at the Panchanga and tell you what is the right word for Vara, what right day for Tithi. That's the important aspect. It's science. Let's look at the Aya measurement. Aya means, from Manasara and Mayamata, that books, Aya means calculate the perimeter length and breadth divided by 8. 8 means the 8 directions: north, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west, and northwest. And whatever the remainder coming in, you apply this formula 1 to 0, and then you calculate it. You see, the odd numbers are always good, even numbers are bad. Now, if you remember, in our system, when you go to a marriage, you give a gift, you always give 101 rupees, 51 rupees, 501 rupees, 1,001 rupees. You always add that 1 rupee. Now you wondered why? It's coming from this architecture. Because you just understand that you don't give 500 rupees to a marriage thing. You don't give a 50 rupees. Just give 51, 101, 501, mainly because of odd numbers are good. Why? Because Vastu architecture believed in our system, our odd numbers means it will continue, it will grow. Even number means it will close, it won't grow. That means it'll come to an end. That's what they talked about, nothing else. Even numbers always come to an end. 2, 4, 6, 8. You can divide by 2. There's always the remainder. So they did not think that it's continue. But odd numbers, they thought that it will grow continuously. That is why they always the system. Even in the legal systems, if you look at it, a judging panel will be 3 or 5 or 7 or 9. There will be no equal, mainly because if in a 9-member judging panel, if 4 and 4 become equal, opposite to each other, the 9th one will win the vote. So same thing happens in every system, actually, why it is like important, right? So this is what they apply. Let's look at this one now. How we calculate it. But today, many people do not follow this because the length unit in that time called asta. Asta means is the length unit, like a meter, feet, whatever, they call it as asta. One asta is equal to 1.5 feet or 2 feet. I'll come to that little later, but let's do a calculation. Example 1. Let's say our plot size is 40 feet by 70 feet. You can calculate yourself. 40 base. First thing what you do is you convert that feet into asta. So what is the formula used? 40 by 1.5 into 70 by 1.5. But 1.5 feet is equal to 1 asta. Some people use 2 feet also, but I'm using 1.5. So it's equal to 26.7 asta into 46.7 asta. So this is the model. Now what is the perimeter? Perimeter is a formula. As all of you know, length plus breadth into multiplied by 2 is the perimeter. When you do that, add the length and breadth, multiply by 2, you get 146.8. Let's average to 1.7. Now divide this by 8. What will happen? Your remainder is 3. Now go back to your model, and 3 means it is Simha, strong and good. That means your plot is beautiful, strong and good. What is the solution? Vastu architecture says, hey, your empty plot is beautiful, strong and good, but also make sure that your building you're constructing is also having the same ratio. This is what is important, proportionate. Today nobody follows the proportion model. People follow the area model. Area is easy. One area is 2,400 square feet. One building is 1,800 square feet. In Vastu architecture, they never talked about square feet. It's all about length and breadth, proportionate model. Because if you're constructing a house, plot is 40 by 70. You're constructing a house of 30 by 50, for example, 1,500 square feet. That also has to follow remainder. It should be 3 or 5 or 7. It cannot be even. So this is very important that your solution is size of the building also should be positive area. So this is the calculation. But one important thing I would like to say that some modern Vastu consultants use area instead of perimeter. I don't know why they are using it. We try to find out reason for why they are using area. The only one thing I think about is in an odd shape. If it's not a square or a rectangle, if something like a zigzag shape area, they can't put a length and breadth. Probably they're calculating area. But if you can use area, we use area, what happened? The proportions is destroyed. The 40 by 70 perimeter width is destroyed completely. Area is area, 20 by 10, 10 by 20, whatever you can multiply, it becomes a square of the value. Area is not like, just imagine, many of you know mathematics, right? Hello, can you please go on mute? Hello? So the area, as you know that area is a square of a thing. Meter into meters, meter square, feet into feet square. Whereas perimeter is only feet or meter, which is a proportion. Hello, somebody is unmuted. Please, can you mute, please?
Yes, this is some Zoom user. Mute him, yeah.
Okay, so this is very, very important to understand proportions in the area. All of you are many of you are engineers, mathematics. Area is a feet square or meter square. It destroys the proportion completely. Your proportion should be feet and length. Your house is measured by length and breadth. You say, what is your room size? It's 10 by 8. That's what you say. You never say my room is 100 square feet or something. You say my room is 10 by 5 bus. My kitchen is 8 by 5. That's what you say. You try to put proportion in your mind, right? Everybody understands that. Even an uneducated, illiterate, a village woman understands length and breadth. You don't tell them that my kitchen is 60 square feet. You say my kitchen is 10 feet by 2 feet, right? So in our daily life, proportions are used. So using area will destroy the proportions. Number can be very high. 40 into 70 area, if you multiply it, 2,800. Dividing that by 8 is more complicated, cumbersome. And also it gives a different IR number, which is not correct as per Vastu architecture. So look at it. Perimeter, if I use it, remainder is 3. If I use area, remainder is 7. So totally different. And also the number is 1,247 divided by 8. Remember, today you have a calculator, you have Excel, you have ChatGPT, you can tell that, it will immediately calculate that for you if you want. But in the olden days, 1,247 divided by 8 is too difficult for them to calculate, right? So they never use the area as a number. But today, many Vastu people use area, mainly because your plot is 2,400 square feet, your plot is 1,200 square feet. We always talk about that. That is the reason probably. But one of the important things, Briga Samhita of Varahamihira, the first one, used area. But that time, it was not used for houses construction. Briga Samhita's Vastu is mainly for astronomical based system. There he used area because of that. Only when Manasara and Mayamata, Vishwakarma, all these things came in, they brought into the house construction plot. So they changed into a perimeter model compared to the Brihit Varahamihira. So there's maybe some confusion about it, but it is mainly because of astronomical event Varahamihira concentrated on. So why the modern Vastu consider using area? Probably if you have a regular shape like rectangle or square, it is easy, right? But if you area like this, triangle or trapezium or something like that, perimeter calculation, length and breadth is very difficult to calculate. So maybe that's why they're using area. I cannot find a reason for it, but it is not right as per the Vastu architecture. So let's go to the Vyaya measurement. Vyaya is a very important because it's an expenditure. It's also having the same thing, but here you're dividing it by 9, not by 8. Can any of you thinking about what is 9? 9 comes from 9 planets. 8 is coming from 8 cardinal directions. 9 is coming from 9 planets. Just think about how beautifully our ancestors thought about it. Because they're saying that 9 planets will actually imply expenditure for you by affecting your day-to-day life. Mainly not because of astrology. Then astrology doesn't come into picture at all here. It's based on astronomical thing. They are mentioning that they knew this particular constellation, rainy season comes. This particular constellation, summer season comes. These seasonal changes, everything they identified based on the planetary positions, not for personal horoscope. They never thought about your horoscope, Mars is the 8th house, Saturn is the 7th house. They didn't do that. How they disturbed the environment, that was based on number 9. If we do that, these are the numbers you can see already here. And let's do the same calculation. Same 40 by 70 plot, we see it. We do the Vyaya calculation. So without wasting time, you convert that. Now we divide it by 9, right? So the remainder is 3. So if you go back to here, the 3 is loss of wealth, Dhanahani. So Aya is also 3, we saw. Simha, good, is also 3. Dhanahani is not good. So basically, Aya and Vyaya are equal. So this side is not good. So when you go to the comparison, the same plot, Aya is remainder 3, strong and good. Vyaya is remainder 3, is loss of wealth. So Aya is equal to Vyaya is not positive. So what is the solution for it? It's nothing simple. You can do it yourself. Increase Aya greater than 3 or reduce the Vyaya less than 3. So plot size you cannot change. You already purchased a 40 by 70 feet plot. You already purchased it, paid a lot of money. You registered also on your name. You can't change it. What you can do, Vastu architecture is simply make sure your construction building size. Okay, plot is not good Aya. Don't worry about it. In the construction of the building you are doing inside, make sure that his Aya is greater than Vyaya. Simple solution. You don't need a Vastu consultant for it. Vastu architecture says a simple mathematical formula. You calculate it and do it. Construct the building according to a higher Aya, then you are comfortable with that. So this is the beauty of it. So we can't go for each and every aspect of calculations because it's too much of time will go. If interested, we can discuss it offline. Then most importantly, the next one is the Vastu Purusha Mandala, which is very difficult to explain in a small, in a short meeting. But you can see that 9 by 9, 8 by 8 people, but 9 by 9 is the most important for residences. You can see that the 81 small padas, everything is dictated by a particular devata. Isanya is the northeast, Agni southeast, Niruti, Nairuti or Pitru on the southwest, Vayu is on the northwest. Center is the Brahmasthana. This is what is there and you construct it based on it. I'll come to that later. Let's just keep it for a moment. Then proportionate is based on your measurement is very, very important. I want to say something about it. In the Vastu architecture, when you construct a house or a palace, they always use the owner of the house measurement, the human body. You are buying a house, you are the owner. But today everybody uses tape and a laser distance, and when the owner doesn't even go to the plot, he's sitting somewhere in the America and somebody's constructing the house for him. Some civil engineer goes and measures the tape and says this is the size of it. No connection at all. In the olden days, symbolically, the owner and the building are emotionally connected. So they will take the measurement from the owner's hand itself. I want to explain this to you. This is how in the olden days actually they did. You are the owner of the house, you look at it. You calculate your angular based on this. You take your palm, the middle finger, the center two lines. What is it here? You measure it. It can be 0.75 inches depending upon your arm size. It can be up to 1 inch, or it can be 0.75. This is called 1 angular. So 1 asta is equal to 24 angular. So if they measure it, what they will do is they will measure your length and they'll multiply by 24. If your angular is 0.75 inch, 1 asta is 1.5 feet, 24 into that. And if it's 1 inch, is 2 feet. So this is what is taken. So Vastu principle is owner of the dwelling house is emotionally connected to the site. So his body has to be used for it. Of course, modern tools of the tape and laser remove this connection completely, but that's how they use it actually. So this is for you to inform. But I just want to go back one step here and tell you the remaining one. So I told you that here they're connecting Aya by 8, perimeter divided by 9 is Vyaya, Riksha constellation assignment. Automatically there are 27 nakshatras. So they will divide the perimeter by 27 stars, 27 nakshatras, beautifully. And Yoni, 8 directions divided by 8 or 12. Based on the zodiac sign, some people divided by 12, somebody divided by 8 here. Vara divided by 7, Tithi divided by 30. So perimeter divided by 8, by 9, by 27, by 8 or 12. If you want to use zodiac signs, Rasi, 12 Rasi use panna, 12 divide panna. If it's using directions, it will be 8. And the Vara is 7 lunar solar days of a week. Tithi is 30 lunar days of a month. So this is how beautifully they calculated each and every one of them. You can just see that. So it's not just a word or document like this. They are properly documented with the formula. Then the last one is Chanda Lakshana. This is the most important thing before we finish the first section. Irrespective of what you do, Vatu, Chanda Lakshmana is not done properly. Your house is not going to give you good effects. What are the things? Outer aesthetics means appearance. The rupa should be very good. It should be soundaryam. Beautiful should be. It should be rhythmic. And it should be ornamentation. Beautifully decorated, a beautiful house. Good. We always do, no? Beautiful door, we keep it. Beautiful windows, beautiful elevation. We always say the architect, I want a beautiful elevation, sir. It should be rhythmic and beautiful, right? That's the outer aesthetics. That's no problem. Many people do that. What is important here is the inner aesthetics. This is what people fail. Outer aesthetics, everybody does it. Because an architect is doing, a civil builder is doing that, they don't care about it. But when it comes to inner aesthetics, Vastu architect says very clearly, irrespective of how beautiful you are keeping the house outside, the most important thing is inner aesthetics, which is orderliness, discipline, cleanliness, and auspiciousness. Today, what we do, we have a beautiful drawing room when people come, but you go to, honestly speaking, think about yourself. How many houses you have gone there? The bathroom will be nasty, the bedrooms will be clumsy, the children's room will be clumsy, the teenagers' rooms will be clumsy, all the way, everything is destroyed, no cleanness, no orderliness. How the Vastu will work there? That's what it says. You construct, because somebody is constructing the house for you, the architect is designing the elevation, the civil builder is constructing the elevation, somebody is painting the house outside, it looks beautiful. But inside is your job. And the people living there, they are not doing the inner aesthetics, Vastu will not work. That's what Chanda Lakshana says. Irrespective of how much money you spend, you might have spent 2 crores to construct a house. If you don't keep the house orderly inside, it's going to be wasted. Most of the houses have a problem, mainly because of this issue, not because of something is wrong with the Vastu. The inner aesthetics, you think about it. If you're not orderly, there's no energy flow. Nothing happens in the house. Everything is blocked. So orderliness, discipline, cleanliness, and auspiciousness, everywhere. Whether it's a toilet, whether it's a bedroom, whether it's a storeroom. Most of the place, look at our bureau. Behind the bureau, we'll keep a cricket bat, broomstick, old photos. We are afraid of throwing out pictures of gods. The calendars of 2010 will be there at home because it got a Vinayaka and the thing. You don't want to throw it out. You put it behind the bureau or put it below the staircase. It's all lying there for 20 years. Nobody touches it with the dust and thing. We are afraid of throwing Ganesha calendar to the dustbin, but you are putting Ganesha calendar below the steps where dust and all kinds of nonsense goes on top of him. But there's nothing there. That is what is simple. Inner aesthetics is very, very critical for Vastu. The next one is the contextual aesthetics called Samagri Saundarya. Very important in Sanskrit word in Vastu architecture. What is this? It has to have an integration. It has to be a proper form. It's not that you build a house zigzag. Some architect says that, sir, you can do like this, you can do this, you can put a dome here, you can put like this. No, you have to have a beautiful form, proportionate size. It has to have a good proportion. The length and width has to be proportionate everywhere. It has to be spacious. You don't dump the entire house with meaningless things with no space to move around. It also be functionality. Every place in the house should be functional. Is important. Today, a lot of people construct a U-shaped building, a round-shaped this thing where a lot of places are unused. You don't even go there. If you look at it honestly, you think about it. How much percentage of house you properly dwell? I can tell you if you have a house more than 2,400 square feet houses or the independent houses, you don't use more than 60% of the house. Remaining 40%, you don't even enter there. Nobody even goes there. Same thing happens to plots and everything. You look at it. Some places we use only 70%, 30%. We don't even go that place. There's no functionality there. Something is there, some design. Then the purpose. Everything should have, every place in the house should have a purpose. I'm having a puja room. There's a purpose for that. You do it only for the purpose. Don't go and eat in the puja room. You have a toilet there. Don't go and smoke and do something. Or people are afraid. Even some people drink. Are afraid of wife sitting in the bathroom. They drink and eat also. That is the bathroom. Is not for purpose. A puja room, you do purpose. Do a puja there. Study room, you study. They don't fight and argue there. Everything is God's thing, right? Same thing, the spirit. Then you have a spirit on it. You have to have the entire spirit. Everybody in the house has to be connected by intelligent, by emotion, by conscious, and spiritually. If suppose there's a house of family of 4, how many people are connected? Everybody is different. There is anger, depression, fear, any kind of sorrow and enmity within the house, between husband and wife, children and father, children and mother. Why is there's a spiritual connection, both from intelligent quotient, emotional connection, cosmic conscious connection, as well as spiritual connection. That is what is important. Everything has to be brought in. That's why Ayuda Puja is extremely critical. In Ayuda Puja, you express your gratitude to all the elements you are using it for your day-to-day life. That's why Ayuda Puja is very, you connect it to your spirit on that. So that is more important. And finally, the region, climate, location is important. Proper time to achieve harmony, when to construct the house, when not to construct the house. Sometime in Kerala, for example, nobody will construct the house when there's a heavy rainy season. In Assam, nobody will construct because the rains are very, very heavy. People do not understand when to start the construction. You start it properly, finish it before the rainy season. Rainy season, you know how difficult it is to construct the house. Then ecology, not only environment around you, also people around you. You have to remember all these things. And finally, one important point in the another interpretation of Vastu architecture is time, desa, kala, parya is very important, that irrespective of what happens, even you have done the perfect 100% perfect Vastu house, if your desa, kala, and parya of the person is not aligned, does not resonate with the Rita, the cosmic order, or in Tamil is called Wool, or Guna Karma flow, whatever they call it. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna calls it Guna Karma flow, and Tamil calls it Wool by Thiruvalluvar, and Rita, cosmic order in the Vedas. In the Rig Veda calls it as the Rita. If it's not aligned, the Vastu efforts will not affect it. Now, that's what many Vastu consultants use. That is your karma pala, பாவம் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க, புண்ணியம் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க, இது பண்றீங்க, அது பண்ணிருக்கீங்க, so பரிகாரம் பண்ணுங்க. It doesn't happen. That's very important that your time, your desa, and ecology, the people around you, has to be perfectly aligned to resonate. Then only the Vastu will be fully affected. That is why it is important to have this previous one: form, space, function, purpose, and spirit, and the inner aesthetics. If you don't have the good inner aesthetics, you keep the house inside dirty, only keep the drawing room beautiful and outside beautiful, or inside you keep on fighting with enmity and anger and all the time problem. There's no spiritual connection to the family members, to the you have the building itself. That's why your time, kala, and desa is affected. This is what Chanda Lakshana is very, very important in all this subject. Now, I want to close it with the, we have a lot of things to discuss, but the first part is, if you look at this, what we discussed now, in the Vastu architecture, before the 15th century, proper Vastu architecture, they looked at orientation, Dig Nirnaya, site selection, Bhumi Pariksha, six kanas, Ayadi Sarva Tadvarga, proportions, Mana, Panchabuddha alignment, aesthetics, with just Chandi Lakshana, functionality, material selection, and climate, all of them. Now, if you look at the original Vastu, all the 8 of them are followed. You see, all are green, heavily used. They will never construct a house without following any of them. And today's what is happening? Let's look at the modern Vastu. Any Vastu consultants you go today, they'll be only looking at the orientation and looking at the Panchabhuta alignment, water, the Agni, and all these things. They will sometimes use the site selection or functionality. They rarely use the remaining of them. The 6 canons, nobody bothers to use this. Proportions, nobody understands it. Aesthetic symbol is very rare. Some architects, some knowledgeable architect use that one, but maybe 10-20% of them. But 80% of Vastu consultants, they are only do the orientation. So when somebody comes to orientation is, what about the other things? Everything has to be balanced, right? You have to look at everything. So that's what I'm going to say something. Somebody can ask, what a Vastu consultant can do? He's not an architect. He's not a civil engineer. He's not a builder. He's not a painter. Yes, correct. But what happens in the old architecture team? In the classic Vastu, there's only 4-member teams governed by Manasara and Mayamata. Sthapati is a head. Sthapati is the one is a guru. And he says very clearly, I can show you an example of Manasara beautifully. He says, he has crossed the ocean of science of Vastu architecture. He's a guru. He knows everything. He's an architect. He's a designer. He's a chief of construction. He's a guide and teacher of all the other 3 people. Sthapati knows everything. He will do the architect work. He will do the design of the work. He will do the fabrication drawings. He will be the civil builder, construction people. He will exactly tell you what to do. And he will be the guide. And he understands the entire ocean of science of architecture in his mind. Then he's got one Sutra Grahin is a supervisor who will implement his design concept. And Vardagi is the one who does the masonry and painting. And Takshaka is the sculptor or carpenter. These are the people, and they work with honesty, compassion, skill, and purity. This is the top requirement. If they don't have it, somebody does not have the honesty, compassion, and skill, will be removed immediately. But today, what is happening? Look at what is today. Honestly, think about it. Vastu consultant comes only for orientation. Sometimes to Panchabhuta elements. He doesn't bother about any other list we given the Vastu architecture. But you may know it or may not know, I do not know. But they apply only the orientation mainly. And Vastu knowledge, very rare, all of them. The architect comes and he does the design. He doesn't do any construction. Very rarely architect will do the construction today. He sits in the office comfortably. He uses his beautiful 3D software, designs a beautiful architect drawing, give it to you, finish. That's all his job is over. He goes to another client. Then civil contractor, he does the construction. He may have engineers and workers, or he will outsource everybody. In fact, most of the big mega projects, 500 flats, 1,000 flats compound, the civil company does not even bother. They will just outsource everything to the other people. Then carpentry is outsourced most of the time. Very rarely company workers are there. Painting and plumbing is outsourced again. Company workers are very low. So mostly commercial rather than compassion and purity. So there is no comparison between the original Vastu architecture meaning towards the modern architecture and construction. They are different. So what is important is, as a owner of the house, if you are constructing, or you are a constructor, you are a civil engineer, you are constructing for other people, you have to, if you want to apply the original Vastu architecture, the principle, you have to apply all of them or bring them into a knowledge, understand what best we can do. Nobody can go 100% perfect, but at least 60, 70, 80% we can try to achieve it. So this is the fundamental thinking. Okay. So basically, the classic Vastu, it was integrating the intelligent quotient, emotional connection, conscious methodology, and spiritual engagement, all the 4 of them. In the modern Vastu, I'm not going to fill up. We discussed it. You know very well. All of you might have constructed a house directly with your hand or your supervision or with a civil contractor or somebody else. So you fill up what's the difference between both of them. So just a small example of a beautiful Kerala house. In Kerala house, it is basically wet climate condition, right? And heavy rainy seasons in Kerala, wet and humid air. So they construct this beautiful. And even Chettinad houses sometime in Chettinad, some places in Tamil Nadu, you can see that open yard, And then there's it's called Brahmasthana. Then they'll have a Deva Vidhi, spacious veranda around this open yard. There's a zone of God. There'll be no rooms there. The third layer is the Manushya Vidhi, which is called zone of man. This is the Manushya Vidhi from Kerala's Vastu Sastra. They construct the house here. Outside, they'll have another beautiful veranda outside. The main entrance will be here, facing north or northeast, whatever direction is. This is a beautiful, exactly constructed as per the Vastu in Kerala houses. The next one is Rajasthan. You go to Rajasthan, extremely opposite. Very hot, arid, dry and climate. If you look at it, they will have a very thick wall on the south direction, mainly because of the heat. They will have all kinds of different designs, basically for the management. This also Vastu houses constructed by the Rajasthan Vastu. So depending upon the climate, depending upon where you are. So Vastu is not applicable everywhere in the same thing in the world. It is only applicable where it is as based on the climate and the regional environment. So Vastu's authentic essence is kind of, it was very good before, but today it's got distorted because of foreign rule, Mughal emperor, colonial rule, and modern Vastu. It's distorted. So our whole thing is the Vastu architecture was a science. It had a principle behind it, but today it is distorted. It become more commercial and fringe scientified than the essence of classic Vastu. That is the actual story behind it. Now we have finished almost like 1 hour, 15 minutes. And if you have time, if you allow me to do it, I want to look at some of the most important misconceptions of Vastu. So I request permission from Gopi and the team, whether I can continue for another half an hour or so. Gopi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can, sir, probably another 15 minutes, sir. Then
Okay,
we can
depending
give the
upon how
floor
everybody wants it, actually. So I'll just go and because a lot of people have these questions. I would like to run through it and then ask the questions about it, right? First question, people, anybody in the audience, if you have questions, is that first question is, what is the right direction of Vastu? We are using compass now to determine north, but what is the right direction for Vastu? If you are interested to discuss this point, let me go through it now. If we look at it, actually, not many people think something differently. In fact, if you look at it, our sun is rising at 3 different directions. If you are standing in the India here, this where my arrow is here, my mouse is moving, is India here. India is slightly above the equator, around 13 degrees. Okay. Now here, if you are standing here in Chennai, in June, you will see sun on the southeast, in the northeast direction. In December, you will see sun in the southeast direction. In the March and September, in the equinox, you see sun in the eastern direction. This angle is about 23.5 degrees. The sun is not rising at a constant same place every day. So how can Vastu can apply? How the Vastu architecture can apply if sun is rising? So which one is not direction? If in the olden days, what happened? In the school, what they taught you? You stand like this, put your hand left and right. If you see east, sun, put the right hand towards the sun, your face will be facing the north. That's what they taught you, right? If you follow this model, the same model now, in the June month, this will be your north, and in the December, this will be your north. If you use the same school model of holding your hands up and doing this, it's totally wrong. But very interestingly, our ancestors understood this concept. Summer solstice, winter solstice. It's a pride actually for us. Even today, many people do not understand even 24, even with the ChatGPT time, people still try to do it. East is my hand, north is this side. That's what they say. I've seen several times, even in the farmhouse, when I go to villages, even in town, people say, this is the east, sun is coming here, this should be north. People simply say that. But you look at but the model of school is wrong, mainly because the earth north pole does not change at all. If you want to apply Vastu, please understand that north does not change at all. It is the same place, irrespective of where the sun is rising, right? So it is important for Vastu to apply the correct north. So in the olden days, what they didn't have compass. So what they beautifully understood is, just I want to introduce that Sankhya Sutra. That's why they followed it. It's a beautiful science. You'll be surprised to see that. So irrespective of the seasons, whether summer or winter, wherever sunrise is happening, the north is the same. Similarly, at the noon time, exactly at the noon, sun will be exactly due south. That is the concept. They understood that. So what they did, they used to they go to a site, they want to now direct north, south, and east, west, they have to put in. What is right? They didn't have the compass. What they do, they'll put a pole. Early morning at Brahma Muhurta at 4 o'clock in the morning, they'll put a pole like this. This is a shape as per Manasara design, 18 inches long, 3 inches down, 1.5 inches on top. They'll put on this. The sun is now rising in the northeastern direction. They will measure the shadow length continuously like this. Or throughout the day, they will measure. I'll show you next diagram. So in the early morning, now I put the pole at 5 o'clock in the morning. Sun is rising in the eastern direction. I got the shadow now. I marked it now. At about 11 o'clock in the morning, sun is here. This is the shadow. At noon exactly, sun is here. This is the shadow. At mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock, sun is here. This is the shadow. And the sunset, this is the shadow. Now, what is the lowest shadow length, which is at the center? This is noon, due south. So this line, they call it as north-south. And it's perfectly matching with compass. Even today, you can do it. Beautiful method, simple method, no complexity. They create a north-south direction superbly with a small design of a pole and sunlight and the shadow behind it. How beautiful it is, right? I was really zapped when I saw that actually in Manasara. So, but today we use compass. But compass is right or wrong? How many of you know that we have 3 different type of northern direction? It's called true north, grid north, and magnetic north. It's very important because what I am telling you is when a Vastu consultant comes, when a civil engineer comes, he just brings the compass and says, sir, this is the northern direction. But that's not correct. You have to understand as the owner of the house. That's why this is important. What are the 3 types of northern? One is a true north. It doesn't change irrespective of what happens. And the magnetic north is the one coming from the compass, which is declined. You see that it's not the same as a true north. And there's something called grid north, which is used for the maps. For ships and all, when they're going for navigation in the sea, they use a grid north. Although they use the campus north, but grid is mainly for navigation. So there are 3 different type of norths. So what happens here is magnetic north is different from the true north. Grid north is also different from true north. So I'm going to give you something in Chennai. What is happening? If you look at what is critical, because Vastu follows only true north. Vastu does not follow the magnetic. So because in the previous one, manually, the pole manually, they found the true north, not the compass north. So let's say in Chennai, today in 2025, as of today, it is based, I take it in July 2025, in Chennai, the magnetic true north will be 1.1 degrees separate. So the true north and magnetic north divided by 1.1. In New York is 12.5, in Sydney 12.8. So example for Chennai, this is the one. So in Chennai, when you're looking at a compass, your compass will show this black arrow only, compass north. It won't give the true north. So the true north has to be adjusted. So you have to draw the line from the compass line. Then you have to tell your civil engineer that true north is not here. It's the compass north you are showing. The true north of my house, my plot, is 1.1 degrees declined. But remember, the 1.1 is not, please remember, 1.1 is not fixed. It changes because, very importantly, the position of the compass north is not changed. It's changing almost like 40 kilometers per year. It is moving to the right. Okay. So, for example, if you see it in 2035, the 1.1 can be 3 degrees or 4 degrees. So you have to go to the NASA or Indian system, astrological system. There's a website. I can send it to you guys if you want. You go there and look at it in Chennai. What is my compass north to true north declination? They'll tell you 1.1 degrees or 2 degrees or 3 degrees. Then you tell your engineer, please correct it to me. Because today nobody does it. They simply use the compass north and this is the north, which is totally against the Vastu. This is important for you. That's why I'm telling you that. Okay. So this is what we discussed now. The next important thing everybody worries about is there's a magnetic flow is happening from north to south. Oh, everybody, the north direction house is fantastic. Northwest direction is fantastic. We have to buy the north because the energy is coming from north to south. Is it true? Scientifically, let's look at it now. It's very complex, boss. This is a difficult concept. I do not know how many of you will be happy about it, but put your mind into it. It's very interesting to see that because the answer is important. I'm going to give you a magnetic, all of you know about it, so don't laugh about it. It's a magnet now. I'm putting another magnet. You put a magnet of north and north, what will happen? All of you know, they will repel. So like poles will repel. They will not even connect it. But if I put a northern magnet and a south, north and south, it will attract beautifully. They'll come in, right? So like poles will repel, opposite poles will attract. This is the concept, right? You have to apply the same concept now to the earthen model, right? This is a compass now. The compass is it's got a northern polarity. if you look at the compass, there will be north, east, south, W, west will be given. The arrow will be marking north. This north, showing the north, is a northern polarity. Remember, it's important to understand magnetism is defined by the polarity. Okay. So now what is happening? When the compass is showing the northern, so looking at northern direction, you're standing in your house, your plot now, you're looking at the compass, it's showing north now. You think that it's showing the northern direction of the world, right? Which is not correct. It's showing the magnetic north, correct, but it's showing a southern polarity because of this principle. Because of this principle. Because of the left principle. If you are showing, if the compass is having the northern polarity, and the magnetic north is there on the with the northern polarity, how they will attract each other? They will repel, right? Then the compass needle will dance up and down, the south will come. So it won't attract it here. So what will happen is the northern pole, northern compass reading will only attract the southern polarity of the magnetic north. So what will happen is, if you look at it here, this is the earth now. So magnetic north is here, but it's got a south polarity. That means there is no way energetic flow will happen from the magnetic north to the south. Actually, what is happening is, based on the principle, the magnetic north polarity, it is the magnetic south. So the energy flow will be happening. You can go to NASA, you go to any kind of the energy flow websites. I can give a link of it. There are beautiful videos also showing that. You can see that beautifully, that the energy flow will come from the magnetic north polarity. This is very important for you to understand, because everybody talks about energy flowing from north to south. It's totally wrong, because it is coming from the magnetic north polarity, goes over it and goes inside the magnetic south polarity. So when you're facing the north from a true north, you're not actually, energy is not flowing from north to south. This energy is flowing from south to north. Actually, south polarity. This is the reality. This I have taken from NASA's and other websites and other scientific astronomical websites. You can also go and look at the Google. I have a video also, but there's no time for showing it. But the most important thing for you to understand is, this is not a concept. The concept of magnetic field, energy flowing from the north to south, is a misconception. And then this uniform magnetic field of the earth has no influence on your house. You know why? It's extremely weak. Weak means it's extremely weak. I'll show you what it is. Okay. I'll come to later, but I'll just, most importantly, why it is weak, I'll tell you later. But the most important question for anybody is that sleeping with the head facing north is really harmful. You go to any Vastu consultant in the world today, they'll simply say sleeping head facing north is wrong. Totally wrong. Okay. This is a very sensitive topic. The issue is ruled and governed by several cognitive biases we have. Even after scientifically debunking it, nobody will believe this. People will follow it because they are afraid and fearful. So it is, as per science, this head facing north is affected by, for all of us, every one of us, the 9 different biases: fear mongering, confirmation bias, authority, whatever it is. I don't want to read all of them, but we can discuss it later. After, anybody can call me and explain to them in detail. So it is not easy to decipher this issue, because even with all the scientific perspectives, people will not change because they're skeptical and avoid. Why they want to take a risk? They just follow the practice. But the reality is, what is the claim they're saying? Human body has iron, hemoglobin. So in the blood we have hemoglobin. The blood flow will be disturbed because the northern magnetic pole will attract the iron. Okay, and the brain's magnetic polarity will create a damage, because the brain, if you sleep facing the north, it will attract and you get disturbed and become mentally depressed and all kinds of problems will happen, right? They focus on iron in the body and the brain as a magnetic pole. What is the truth in science? The reality. The science says, what the iron we have in hemoglobin, right? It's got iron atoms, but they are not ferromagnetic. For some magnet to attract to iron, any iron will not be attracted by a magnet. It has to be a ferromagnet. Ferromagnetic iron. It has to have the ferrous property. But in our blood, the hemoglobin, iron is in the non-magnetic form. It is an ionic form called ferrous or ferric oxide. So ferrous is +2+, ferric is 3+. Ion is an ionic component, not a is a magnetic, ferromagnetic form. So the blood will never behave like a magnet. Not possible. So the human body and brain does not have the strength of a magnetic pole because they don't have the strength because of that. So there is no magnetic polarity on our brain or a head. And why you talk about Earth magnetic field is extremely weak. It's called 25 to 65 micro Tesla. That means 0.00000025. And brain activity is 10 power minus 13. If you put 0.0013 zeros and 1 Tesla, it's very, 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 very smaller than even your hair. 100 times less than your hair size. But just compare your refrigerator, what you have at home, it's got a magnet there. It is 0.01 to 0.1 Tesla, more than 100,000 times. MRI scanner, you go there, it's got 1.3 Tesla, more than 100,000 times bigger than your energy field. So energy field has no value across your house. It won't flow inside the house. It doesn't create any value for you. There is absolutely scientifically, there's no scientific evidence and proof that Earth's magnetic field will have any effect in a 40 by 70 square feet plot. The entire, maybe in a 10 kilometers or 20 kilometers area, it may have some small effect, but not in a 40 by 70 feet area because of this weakness. So compass showing magnetic south polarity, when we are sleeping there, the human body does not have the strength, it doesn't get affected by the facing the north. But it's a scientific perspective. As I said earlier, this is highly sensitive topic. You don't have to believe me. People will not accept it, irrespective of how many scientists tell you. Even Albert Einstein comes today, tells that people won't believe it because people are afraid about it because of confirmation bias. They will think that something happened because I kept the head on the northern side. So, but this is a science. Whether you believe it or not, whether you want to follow it or not, I'm not asking because it is a very sensitive topic. I will leave it accordingly. But most importantly, this point is everybody questions here. What is entrance, man? How critical this entrance of the house? Everybody is confused actually. People say north face direction, northeastern direction, south is bad, west is bad. What is the science? What does Vastu architecture says? Vastu architecture beautifully explains this nicely. Okay, as per Vastu, classic Vastu, correct. What the Vastu consultant is saying is correct. This entrance is very critical because it is the interface between the cosmic order, something outside your house, inside your domestic order, inside the house. So you're bringing people, you're entering the house, guests are coming inside, air is coming inside, sunlight is coming inside. It's very important. Entrance is a very important aspect, right? What they've done in the Manasara and the Mayamata in Vishwakarma, each wall, east wall, north wall, south wall, west wall, they're divided into 9 padas each. That means there will be 32 entrances. There can be 32 entrances. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to show you the north wall. Many people talk about north facing, right? So I want to show a north wall and south wall. People say south is bad, right? So you have a north wall. Suppose your house building is 30 feet. Your plot is 40 feet, your building is 30 feet. You can do it yourself. There's no need of any expert. 30 feet divided that by 9. When you divide 30 by 9, whatever it comes, right? 3.25 feet of each of. So divide them into 9 parts. So draw them here. So northeastern direction, the Isanya is, let's say, the E9 and the northwest is the E1. So 9 parts. So this is apply here. What it says here is E1 is northwest direction. Don't keep extreme end of the northwest a door. Because if you give a main door, it will cause ailments and financial strains. That's what it says here. E2, which is here, it's called Naga, Madhyama, minor conflict. It's not bad. E2 is okay, manageable. No issues at all there. And E3 is prosperity, wealth, and income. Many people say the third pada from the left and right, it's very good. That's what they say actually. And so E3 is a good position. So like that, each and every aspect of it is going to be there. But the E9, which is Isanya, nobody, Vastu does not recommend houses because it is for temples. This Isanya belongs to Lord Shiva. So don't put a door at the extreme northeast corner, but try to do it here. Okay. So what do you look at it actually? The number 5 is a Kubera. The central part of north is excellent because it is property, prosperity, fame, everything will come. So E5, E3, and E6 are more or less equally good. And E7 is also good. Gandharva is good. E7 belongs to Gandharva. But why their issue is Gandharva is artistic. That means it can be unstable. You'll be rich, down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Can't even happen. That's what they're saying about it. Again, it's a symbolic representation. There's no scientific principle in Vastu. So Vastu has done this based on various, I can explain to you what is the principle behind it. For each one of them, there is an explanation given in Manasara and Mayamata. Very detailed explanation. Why they're saying E3 is good, E6 is good, E5 is good. I'll explain to you much later on if you have time. But this is one. What I would like to do is everybody curses the southern direction, right? Let's look at it. Big question. What about south and west entrance? Are they prohibited? Let's look at the south wall. The south wall, yes, correct. But you look at it, at least three locations, the E3 and the E4 and the E6 are very favorable. You don't have to, just because your house is facing south, doesn't mean that it's prohibited, you can throw the house. No. In south also, divide the same thing by 9 items and then use this Vastu architecture. That's what it says. And if you put your door at the E3, where my mouse is there, E3, here the door is good, E4 door is good, and E5, because Yama is good, but do not put that, because the main Dikpala, Yama is here. And E6, as we discussed, Gandharva can be very good, but it's because artistic, artistic people are always unstable, right? That is why it says actually. So you can have a house at E3 or E4 as per Vastu architecture. The science behind it is a detailed explanation. I don't have time to explain it, but idea what I want to do is there is no curse about having a southern direction, a door in southern direction, or even western direction. Vastu architecture does not throw away, discard any of the direction. In all the 4 directions, you can have a main door, but you have to divide them into 9 mandalas and then divide accordingly answer it based on the Devata is controlling it. For example, E9 is also Mahendra is very good, but what they say for normal householders, the Mahendra is not good. It's for kings or big people, very powerful people of authority. E9 is good. For a normal householder, better to avoid because of the very heavy system there. And similarly, eastern side also, western side also is not cursed. You can see at least 2 places it has got a very nice positive framework, and one is in between actually. So it is very important that another qualifier is that don't use my table, because Maya, Mata, Manasara, Vishwakarma, Satra, everybody has got different ideas for the Devatas and the output. So you have to really talk to an expert who understands these 32 entrances properly, align with your own system and decide on it. Don't use any one. If I am giving this plot, don't use this table. Anybody use another table, don't use it. You have to apply, because there are nearly 7 or 8 different types of 32 entrances. Which one will apply to you is difficult to say without knowing the details about your plot and other aspects of it. So you have to, don't blindly follow this for the 32 entrance model. You have to apply, talk to an expert to understand these variations and arrive at a proper conclusion. So there is no issue of entrance of the house. At the same time, the Vastu architecture, the classic also gives you parihar, remedy. If your house, the door is, suppose by mistake you put a door in a wrong place, you also do a parihara by various aspects. It is in detail in Maya Mata and Manasara, which I can't explain now, but anybody is interested, I can always help them out. You can send me a mail or text. I can take it from there and give you. Okay. This is what is about this one. The most important everybody asks about, if I put a kitchen in the northeast or southwest, is really harmful. It's going to affect me. Many people get afraid of it. Some Vastikans said you will get a misfortune, something will happen, somebody will die, all kinds of concept. But it is not the case. If you look at it, actually, we discussed it. South is the main direction for kitchen, right? Agni. Mainly because it brings throughout the day. You have to remember there's no electricity that time. Vastu architecture, when they built, there was no electricity. You can't put a light at 2 o'clock in the morning. There was light all the time. Wind direction is critical because there was no gas stove or electric stove. They used that to open fire like that. So what happens, because of their fire will come, smoke will come, ash debris will be always flowing out. So the whole idea for them, the window should take it out. You have to apply for location wise. So I taken a lot of effort to create a wind roses for Chennai. This is Chennai. In Chennai, if you look at it, the window shows that which is the direction of the air. The big one is, I don't want to go to each and everything, but if you look at this, all the direction, there is no air coming from the southeast direction. Air is going to the southeast. The northeast, air is coming from northeast, air is coming from southwest, air is coming from western direction, but air is going towards the southeast. There is no the color on the southeastern direction. That means what is that? If you have a stove here, open air here, the air is coming from here, it will push the fire away from the house. It won't bring it inside. But if you have a kitchen on the southwest, air is coming inside. It will push the fire inside. Western side, air is coming inside. It will push here. Northeastern side, air is coming inside. It will push the fire inside. Today you have an electric stove and gas stove. There's no problem. You can do whatever you want. In the olden days, it was open stove. Even you go to a village, even today, some people are using that open stove, right, with the wooden thing. So you can understand that is why they kept southeast as the light. All the time there's light. Secondly, the wind will take the fire away from the southeast. That's why kitchen is in the southeast, not because of anything else. The second important aspect is, um, second because of aspect is the water pond and everything is going to be on the northeast. As we discussed, the well is northeast, the open pond is northeast. If you put a toilet there, what will happen? The leakage may also destroy the pond. That's why so if you keep a kitchen, there is no harm in that. Today's kitchen, because there is no, your kitchen is covered with a wall, windows, you have a gas stove, electric stove, all this problem doesn't happen. So that Vastu architecture reason behind southeast kitchen is different. It's not applicable today. So don't be afraid of, if you have a kitchen in the northeast, don't be afraid to try to do some demolition, changing and all these things. It's okay. Just follow it up. That's as per science. But as I said, it's a sensitive topic. If you're afraid, people are fearful, that's a different thing. But as per science, southeast kitchen is not a compulsory as of today. So I can also go discuss about master bedroom in southwest, why we keep master bedroom in southwest. It's a long topic actually. One toilet in the northeast, why can't we keep toilet in the northeast? Same thing, I already explained to you. You can discuss a lot of things about it, but the most important thing I also talked about magnetic energy. And then one important thing is cosmic energy. People talk about cosmic energy. People say that cosmic energy is coming to the house. It will come to the Brahmasthana. Let's look at it. Energy is not that. If the world's cosmic energy, sun is here, earth is here. The sun sending a very, very powerful cosmic rays. That is not wrong. What Vastu consultant says about cosmic rays is not wrong. Cosmic rays are coming very powerful, but they have around 60,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface. We call something called magnetosphere. The magnetosphere dissipates, completely shields the Earth from the cosmic rays. Otherwise, Earth will burn. We'll all become ash. The magnetosphere covers everything. And then after that, whatever escapes from the magnetosphere, there's a dense atmosphere all around the Earth, which actually dissipates the complete cosmic ray. By the time the cosmic ray touches the Earth's surface, it becomes very, 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 very weak. They have zero effect. That's why they're able to walk. Your skin is not burning. If the magnetosphere, the dense atmosphere doesn't stop the cosmic rays, your skin will burn. You will completely die and burn yourself out as an ash. So there is this weak thing cannot have any effect on outsides or on Vastu. There's no effect of cosmic rays in the houses, especially in a 40 to 70 square feet area. So this is what is important. And I don't want to go into all this biases, why people believe that. And same thing happens with the people come with an antenna and say, I'm going to measure the energy. They go to a place, suddenly the antenna will start moving very fast. And they say, oh, energy is there, ghost is there, and all these things. And then some places it will be very stable. Oh, the energy is good. It is all coming from something called ideomotor effect. It is not coming from the antenna. It is coming from the belief of the person inside by a neural effect of ideometer. Ideometer I can explain to you, but please, whenever you have time, go to Google, go to ChatGPT, go to Grok, go to Claude or Gemini 2.5, whatever you like. Type ideomotor effect and leisure antenna. You'll get 1,000 explanations about how people do that. It doesn't happen because of the energy. The energy is too weak actually, but it happens because of the man's internal neural systems. Same thing happens with the EMF meters. I don't want to explain to it, but when you have time, go and look at it. It's important. So these are the basic things. What are the conclusions then? Vastu, do we discard Vastu? No. Vastu is real. Vastu architecture is real. If the foundational principle of Vastu are followed, if Vastu architecture is not astrology is understood properly, Vastu is real. But it becomes a ruse if you follow fear, follow your superstition, you follow material-based fringe science, people sell it to you, commercial models, because you want to, they say you want to go to America tomorrow, you want to do a Vastu. You want to get a marriage, you do a Vastu material. You put a fish here, you put a laughing Buddha there, you do something else there. You want to follow this, ignoring Vastu principles, there is a ruse. So Vastu is real, Vastu architecture is scientifically principled. You can follow it depending upon how you approach it. Yes, Vastu can be applied effectively today based on what we discussed today, without biases, without fear, without fakes, without superstition. Vastu is an architectural science. It is not astrology. If you understand it fundamentally, then you will decide how to apply architectural science. Vastu as a basis, as a fundamental principle, is a foundational concept. It's the pride of our nation. Nobody has done in this world. Tears coming to my eyes when I see these kind of words. Nobody has done in the entire world something like this. Vastu architecture, 1,500, 2,000 years back. How to construct a house, how to construct a temple, how to construct a palace, how a Kerala house had to be there with the wet, humid, rainy season, how a Chettinad house has to be there in Tamil Nadu weather, how a Rajasthan in a desert, arid, who constructed this climate-based beautiful Vastu architecture? That's how we lived. Is our pride. But unfortunately, astrology concepts, commercial concepts, beliefs, and superstition fakes have destroyed our Vastu. As part of the Indian knowledge framework system, we should think about it with pridely and then apply it. So we can apply it. It's up to us what we want to do, right? We can apply Vastu for a better living based on Vastu's scientific principles. So that's what I have. I thank you very much. Almost more than 1.5 hours were given to me, but I hope it was useful. And any questions, I'm very happy to answer. If there's no time, you also send me an email. I'm available at any point of time to respond to you and give any answers to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Excellent session. So we'll quickly move on to the question answers, if any. Participants, you can please unmute and ask your questions, please, one by one.
Yeah, this is Raghuraman. It was a great session, sir. And thank you for that. Gopi sir, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go on.
Okay. Thank you. Sir, we understand the direction and the size of the plot and size of the building. Everything is very important. They just got a lot of implication, etc. But sometimes when we talk to people who also believe, but sometimes as a critic, what they say is if you look at all the Tasmak shops in Chennai or in Tamil Nadu, right, or any liquor shop for that matter, right, they are actually totally in a diverse and different locations and etc. But irrespective of that, such places also having tremendous business, right? So they say it is not just Vastu, it could be the product they are selling is what is actually giving the business. So I would like, can I have your brief insights on this? Yeah.
A brilliant question, Raghuram. Really brilliant question, actually. But there's a major difference between a Vastu against what is happening in Taskmark or anything else. Let's imagine what Vastu says. Vastu brings harmony in life. There should be a harmony of happiness, peace, serenity, good health, good life, everything in your house and the dwelling of the family people living there. That is what Vastu is about. Vastu is about harmony. But look at Taskmark, for example. They make money. Is the harmony there? People are violent in Tasmak shops. People fight. People lose their health. Families are destroyed by this drinking. Recently, I saw a talk show where people borrowed from bank to drink and destroyed the houses. They pledged their houses to drink. How many families are destroyed? That Tasmak makes money, correct. But it does not bring the happiness, the harmony, the peace into the life of people. Whether people, we don't know what is the life of the people who are selling that liquor in the Tasmak shop. We don't know. Money is not the only issue about Vastu. Vastu doesn't talk about only the finance aspects. Vastu is talking about an holistic, harmonious aspect, and that does not come into the Tasmak shops. And that is where I think it is a different aspect of it.
Yeah, that's a wonderful explanation, sir. That actually explains a lot. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. Please go on, sir. Somebody has put up the hand, Samsung.
Hello.
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah,
Please.
I said this is Pradeep here from Chennai.
Yeah.
It was a great session, sir, from sir side. I don't know, we were lucky just before few days we have purchased a flat apartment. And we got the news that sir is going to give an lecture, or I think there is a session upon Vastu. And we were really very lucky. But I had some doubts, sir. Nowadays, we buy flats, okay, which are like apartment kind of things. So in that, does the only boundaries which we buy is matters, or the whole area of the flat also matters?
So you're talking about apartment, right? Not independent.
Yep. Yeah, apartment.
Yeah. In unfortunately, Vastu architecture, they do not deal with the apartments as such because they also constructed multi-storied buildings. For example, in Manasara and Mayamada, up to 12 stories, they have given the Vastu architecture, how each story has to be constructed, the length and breadth and height. but they are all for one single, one floor is one house, not one floor is divided into 4 or 5 apartments. So that's a different
Okay.
thing in apartment. So what is happening is the modern approach towards that is you have to take the entire plot, first one. The second
Okay.
aspect is the apartment proportion is very critical. Unfortunately, today the plots are sold based on area. Your plot is 1,000 square feet or 1,200 square feet. That is not covering that proportion. What is important of your plot apartment is your length and breadth, and whether IR measurements are good. Your rooms has to be measured because the same IR, VIR, and measurement I mentioned to you is applied to every individual room, length and breadth of the room, length and breadth of
Okay.
your hall, your length and breadth of your apartment. So if your
Okay.
apartment and the overall plot also applies to the IR, VIR measurement, it's that's how we apply, sir. And then also you look at it because many plots, apartments, some will be facing the eastern side, so they will never see the western. Western side will be covered with a wall. South will be a wall, another apartment will be there. So that also we have to see which direction is open and where is the entrance. So in the apartments, you can only do the entrance you have to take care of. Secondly, you have to take care of
Okay.
the perimeter, the length and
Okay.
breadth, the IR measurements, including the
Okay.
bedrooms and everything. And third,
Okay.
importantly, where the windows are kept and where you keep your heavy equipment and everything out. There's no need to put any kind of material, and that is all comes from Feng Shui from China. It's not in the Vastu
Okay.
architecture. But you can
Okay,
apply,
sir.
you can try and check it, sir. I can help you if you want. You can send me an offline email. I can help you.
Yeah, sure, sir. I'll send. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, next question, please.
Sir, good morning. I am Bhatmaraja here.
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Nice session. Just the point is to now during your session also you told east is moving. Of course, yes, it is scientifically correct. It is moving. Sunrise, it is moving. Based on that, true north, it is we have to find out. And now by doing this, all the things, even astronomy also, it is whether we have to believe 100%, sir, because no one can able to really find out what a child is born exactly by this time and by this second. And also in Vastu, the directions. It is keep moving, and even if it is sleeping by keeping the head on the north, it is not a problem. You told many things you told. Now, whether we have to believe all these things, now you also told many people are doing it because they are fearing it. Now, the point is it really correct? Because it is commercialized now, and many people are half cooked without understanding many terms of Vastu or astronomy. Is it correct to believe?
Yeah, very good question, Padmaraja. First question, I will answer the first one first. The the cardinal direction, that's why they call it as cardinal direction. Cardinal direction means the original directions, the north, east, south, and west does not change. They do not change at all. The position of sunrise changes. Sun is rising from different positions, but the due east doesn't change. It is the same place because your northern pole, it actually goes towards the northern pole star, doesn't change at all. Once in 75,000 years, the Earth rotation will change. That's the time only it will change from opposite direction. As of today, for the last so much 1,000 years or so, and beyond next to 10,000 years, as long as the Earth is maintaining its axis at 23.5 degrees, the north, east, south, and west directions will not change at all, sir. So what is changing is the position of sunrise and sunset. That is nothing to do with that. The people should not mistake that I am facing the sun 90 degrees to that is north. That is wrong. You have to ensure that the position of the sun is not the criteria to determine what is north. As I explained to you earlier, the position of north is coming from the true north. That can be obtained from the compass today, very easy, plus applying the declination. If you go to any kind of NASA or Indian astronomical places, even today, just sign that today I want to see the declination between true north and magnetic north of Chennai. They'll tell you 1 degree, 3 degrees, 5 degrees, whatever it is. You can apply it. So you can get the exact north direction to the minutest percentage. No problem at all on that. So direction-wise, there is no issue, sir. We can apply for Vastu. The second important aspect about the belief is that, yes, we are controlled by all the biases. First of all, the biggest bias is fear because we want something. So the moment you want something, fear comes in, because desire and want is a fear. So the fear and superstition comes. If I do it, it will happen to me. I want to do this, I'll get it. It's the same whether it's Vastu or a Parihar or going to a temple, or people taking a hall ticket, for example, go to a temple and do a puja thinking that they will pass without studying. So your effort is also important, right? That bias, if you remove it, Vastu is a science. As I explained to you, with the time available, I was not able to go through each and every aspect of it. But if you give another session, each and every aspect of Vastu has got a principle behind it. You look at the principle. If you accept the principle, you go for it. The problem with people is that people don't want to discuss it. What they say is, sir, even if I say something to some people, they will say, sir, the explanation, sir, don't explain to me anything. சொல்லுங்க என்ன பண்ணணும்னு நாங்க பண்ணிடுறோம், அவ்வளவுதான். They go to an expert, they say, you tell me what to do, we'll do. Don't explain to you why and all. But the moment you start learning what is the principle behind it, you can take a decision whether you want to believe it or not. அதுதான் சார் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். எல்லாருமே வாஸ்து ஃபாலோ பண்ற எல்லாருமே why அப்படின்ற ஒரு கொஸ்டினை வாஸ்து கன்சல்டன்ட் கேட்கணும். ஏன் அப்படி சொல்றீங்க? why is the recommendation is what is the principle behind it? அந்த ஒரு கொஸ்டின் கேட்டாலே வாஸ்து கன்சல்டன்ட்ஸ் will start thinking about it. இப்போ கிளையன்ட்ஸ் கேட்க போறாங்கன்னு கேட்காம போறதால இந்த மாதிரி பயாஸ்ட் கமர்ஷியல் மாடல்ஸ் ஆர் கமிங் இன் டு பிக்சர். அதான் அதான் சொல்யூஷன். அதுக்கு அந்த சொல்யூஷன் மக்கள்கிட்ட தான் வரணும். பீப்புள் ஹேவ் டு ஆஸ்க் கொஸ்டின்ஸ், அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் why I have to do this, what is the principle behind it. If they see the principle, you can take a decision whether you're okay with it or not. That is a fundamental change required, sir. Outside இருந்து யாருமே எதுவுமே பண்ண முடியாது. It has to come from the internal change of the people.
Thank you, sir. But the point is, நான் இப்போ போற வாஸ்து கன்சல்டன்ட் whether he is fully aware, fully knowledgeable, how we can judge?
நீங்க அவரை பார்த்துல ரொம்ப ஈஸி சார். 2 கொஸ்டின் கேட்டதே போதும். ஏன்னா மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் த வாஸ்து கன்சல்டன்ட்ஸ் டுடே ஓரியன்டேஷன் மட்டும் தான் பேசுவாங்க. நார்த் ஈஸ்ட், அவங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சதுல நார்த் ஈஸ்ட், சவுத் வெஸ்ட். நார்த் ஈஸ்ட்ல பூஜா ரூமு, ஸ்டடி ரூமு, கஸ்ட் ரூமு, இங்க கிச்சனு, சவுத் வெஸ்ட்ல மாஸ்டர் பெட்ரூமு, நார்த் வெஸ்ட்ல இங்க படிக்கட்டு, இங்க பூஜா, அப்படி அது மட்டும் தான் தெரியும். அதுதான் பேசிட்டு இருப்பாங்க தவிர ஓரியன்டேஷன் பேஸ்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க தவிர மற்ற 6 canons of architecture, ஆயா, வியாயா, ரிக்ஷா, அதெல்லாம் உங்களுக்கு தெரியாது. சைட் செலெக்ஷன் மாடல், அதெல்லாம் உங்களுக்கு தெரியாது. ஆக்சுவலா அப்படி பண்ணும் அது கேட்டாலே தெரிஞ்சிடும் உங்களுக்கு. அவங்களுக்கு எந்த, பிகாஸ் தே ஹேவ் டு கோ பியாண்ட் த ஓரியன்டேஷன். ஓரியன்டேஷன் ஒரே ஒரு ஆஸ்பெக்ட் தானே. த ரிமைனிங் 6 aspects are there. The 7 design concepts are there. நீங்க many of the modern architects also பார்த்தீங்கன்னா they use the European engineering architects model. They don't apply all the 7 design concept of Vastu. அது கரிக்குலத்திலே இல்லை. இப்போதான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் இந்தியாவில் IIT Kharagpur has introduced an elective of Vastu architecture in civil engineering and architect degree. First time IIT Kharagpur is introduced. போன வருஷம் இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணாங்க. அதான் ஒரே எலெக்டிவ். அதனால எந்த ஆர்கிடெக்டுமே இந்த 7 டிசைன் கான்செப்ட் வாஸ்து ஃபாலோ பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. ஏன்னா அவங்க கரிக்குலத்துல இல்லை. அது நீங்க ஈஸியாக கண்டுபிடிச்சலாம். ஒரு வாஸ்து கான்செப்ட் 2 கொஸ்டின் கேட்டாலே போதும். ஆயா மெஷர்மெண்ட் பாத்தீங்களா, வியாயா மெஷர்மெண்ட் பாத்தீங்களா, ஆயா இஸ் ஹையர் தென் வியாயான்னு கேட்டாலே அவங்க தெரியுமா தெரியாதுன்னு தெரிஞ்சு போயிடும். அது கண்டுபிடி ரொம்ப ஈஸி சார். ஒரு ஃபண்டமெண்டல் பிரின்சிபல் தானே. அது மக்கள் கொஞ்சம் தெரிஞ்சுக்க முயற்சி பண்ணா போதும். அதுதான் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். அது கண்டுபிடிச்சலாம் சார் ரொம்ப ஈஸியா.
ஓகே சார், தேங்க்யூ.
Yeah, next question, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Shankar.
Yes, Shankar, please go on, Shankar.
Yeah. So thank you for a very enlightening presentation. There's a fear, perception rather, even I have that whenever you go for Vastu consultation, there is a lot of demolition, or we live in apartments. So people perceive that they have to break down walls, change the kitchen from one end of the house to the other end, bathroom from one side to the other. Is this right, or how do we do corrections in an apartment if it is possible? And regarding feng shui, they say that placement of certain objects changes the energy field of that area. Is that the right approach? Is it correct, that what I've understood?
Thank you, Mr. Shankar. First of all, as Vastu architecture, the original Vastu, classic Vastu architecture, they don't define any demolition at all. They don't want to do any demolition. We can do some small changes because the fundamental is symbolic. Let's give an example, okay? The northwestern direction, they don't propose to have a door at the extreme end of the northwest. Suppose you have northwest wall, north wall, your house is facing north. அந்த நார்த் வால் வந்து உங்களோட பில்டிங்கோட சைஸ் வந்து 30 feet வச்சுக்கோங்க. டிவைட் பை 9, ஈச் பாதா இஸ் அபவுட் 3.25 feet. எக்ஸ்ட்ரீம் நார்த் வெஸ்ட் வந்து டோர் வைக்காதீங்கன்னு சொல்றது காரணம் வந்து என்னன்னா, it has got a symbolic representation above. What they are saying is, in order, suppose you kept a door already, don't demolish anything. It has to symbolically respond to the natural elements. அதுக்கு வந்து what they are saying is, put a canopy in the front, you put some kind of heavy steps or something like that to exhibit. அப்படிதான் வாஸ்து ஆர்கிடெக்ட் சொல்லி கொடுக்க தவிர பரிகாரத்தில் they don't say that demolish and change it everything out. And absolutely they do not recommend any kind of material objects. Feng Shui model வந்து nothing to do with வாஸ்து ஆர்கிடெக்சர். It came from China. அது வந்து எந்த விதத்துலையும் வாஸ்துவோட இம்பாக்ட் கிடையாது, எந்த ஹெல்ப்பும் கிடையாது சார். இட் இஸ் அ கன்ஃபர்மேஷன் பயாஸ், ஒரு ஃபியர் வித் சூப்பர்ஸ்டிஷன். இந்த மெட்டீரியல் இங்கே வச்சா அந்த எனர்ஜி ஃபீல்டு பற்றி நான் பார்த்தோம். எனர்ஜி ஃபீல்டு இஸ் எக்ஸ்ட்ரீம்லி லோ, இஸ் 0.00000 சம்திங் 1 டெஸ்லா. அந்த எனர்ஜி ஃபீல்டுக்கும் நீங்கள் வைக்கிற மெட்டீரியலுக்கு ஆப்ஜெக்ட்டுக்கும் சம்மந்தமே கிடையாது. நெவர் கம்ஸ் இன் டு இட். இட் இஸ் அ மென்டல் ஸ்டெபிலிட்டி. நீங்கள் வந்து தைரியமாக நம்ம வந்து பார்த்துட்டோம்னா, அந்த ஃபியர் போயிடுச்சுன்னா இதெல்லாம் வரைய எதுவுமே டிமாலிஷ் பண்ண வேண்டிய அவசியம் இல்லை சார். இருக்கிறத வச்சு வந்து யூ கேன் மேனேஜ் இட் பை கிரியேட்டிங் அ ஃபங்க்ஷனாலிட்டி அண்ட் பர்பஸ் டு தட். நீங்கள் ஒரிஜினல் அந்த கிளாசிக் வாஸ்து ஃபாலோ பண்ணுற கன்செப்ட்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, சம் ஆர்கிடெக்ட்ஸ் ஆல்சோ வெரி குட் ஆன் தட். அவங்க வந்து தி அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் த வாஸ்து அஸ் அ லைக் ஸ்தபதி பேசின மாதிரி தி அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் எவ்ரி திங். அவங்கள்ட்ட பேசினோம்னா, understand the functionality and principle of the each and every part of the house, அதை ப்ராப்பராக யூஸ் பண்ணாலே வாஸ்து சரியாயிடும் சார். வேறு எதுவும் பயப்பட வேண்டிய அவசியமே இல்லை, எதுவுமே டிமாலிஷ் பண்ண வேண்டிய அவசியமே இல்லை சார். நோ வாஸ்து இஸ் சேயிங் தட்.
Yes, next question, please.
Sorry, I just have one more query.
Yes, sir.
So my question was, does this Covil bell and the bell alarm, all those things, does it matter for the vibration of the house? Mother, is it useful? Does it play a role in Vastu?
As such, directly Vastu architecture, no vibration or the bell doesn't have any help, sir. Nothing about material object. None of the Vastu classic architecture talks about a material inside the house like a bell, a temple bell, satam boradu, and you can nothing. They talk about nothing at all. Even they don't talk about where you keep a god and all these things. Everything is a symbolic representation. It's a devata. அது மனசுல நினைச்சாலே போதும். இந்த சைடு வந்து ஈசான்யா, இந்த சைடு வந்து குபேரா, இந்த சைடு வந்து யமா, this side is Indra, this side is eastern side Surya. அது வந்து symbolic representation, sir. The Vastu architect does not even say that you have to create a god or statue inside, pray it, alam சொல்லவே இல்லை. What they are saying is, if you align yourself with the orientation and all other aspect of Vastu, you can live simply in a house without any kind of a god pictures. அவங்களாம் சொல்றதே கிடையாது. There's absent. They don't say anything at all. இதெல்லாம் வந்து மாடர்ன் வாஸ்து கன்செப்ட்ல வந்து மக்களுக்கு வந்து ஒரு தைரியத்தை உண்டாக்குறதுக்காக பண்ண. இந்த பக்கம் வந்து சாமி வச்சு பூஜை பண்ணுங்க, இங்க வந்து டெய்லி விளக்கு ஏத்துங்க, இது வந்து பிரம்மஸ்தானா டெய்லி விளக்கு ஏத்துங்க சொல்றது மக்களுக்கு ஒரு நம்பிக்கை கொடுக்குது. கன்ஃபர்மேஷன் பயாஸ் வந்து உருவாக்குறது. அதெல்லாம் வந்து as per வாஸ்து ஆர்கிடெக்சர் is nothing is available. It's all modern requirement. There is no need for that. அந்த மாதிரி ஏதோ ஒரு எஃபெக்ட் இருக்க மாதிரி வாஸ்து ஆர்கிடெக்சர் இல்லை. சயின்டிஃபிக் ஆல்சோ there is no effect on that, sir. It gives you a mental peace and your confirmation bias. அவ்வளவுதான். அதுதான் உங்களோட சாட்டிஸ்ஃபேக்ஷன் தான் இருக்குமே தவிர இட்ஸ் வாட் இஸ் கால்ட் பிளாசிபோ எஃபெக்ட். there are two effects in science, sir. One is the placebo effect, one is nocebo effect. வாஸ்து ஆர்கிடெக்ட்ஸ் நம்முடைய ancestors வந்து they know the placebo effect as well as the nocebo effect. ரெண்டுமே அவங்களுக்கு தெரியும். அவங்க தான் அப்ளை பண்ணாங்க. அது என்ன ஆகுதுன்னா, இப்போ இருக்க மாடர்ன் கமர்ஷியல் பிஸ்னஸ் மாடல் என்ன ஆயிடுச்சுன்னா, த மிஸ்யூசிங் த பிளாசிபோ எஃபெக்ட், நோசிபோ எஃபெக்ட். அதை மிஸ்யூஸ் பண்ணி மக்களை வந்து ஒரு ஃபியர் உருவாக்கிடுறாங்க. it will take time for me to explain what is placebo and nocebo, but you can call me offline. But நீங்க சொல்றது எல்லாமே comes from the nocebo effect ஓட மாடல் சார். the temple bell, fancy effect எல்லாமே nocebo effect. அது பண்ணாலே நிறைய மக்களை வந்து நம்ம ஈஸியா வந்து ஒரு ஃபியர் உருவாக்கி, ஒரு சூப்பர்ஷன் உருவாக்கி, நம்பிக்கையை உருவாக்கி அதை பண்ண முடியும். பிளாசிபோ எஃபெக்ட் இஸ் ஆப்போசிட். பெல் இல்லாமையே, ஃபென்ஷி எதுவும் ஃபாலோ பண்ணாமையே, டிமாலிஷன் பண்ணாமே இது பண்ண முடியுன்றது நம்பிக்கை கொடுக்குறது பிளாசிபோ. தட் இஸ் வாட் இஸ் பிளாசிபோ எஃபெக்ட். அதை நம்ம பண்ணாங்க. ஒரு டைம் இந்த ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்கிறேன். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள், ஒரு வீடு இருக்கு. ஒரு சப்போஸ் தேர்ஸ் a house, a girl, young girl, say 14-16 years of girl, she says that there's a ghost in the corner of that bedroom. I seen the ghost. She's extremely afraid. Mentally, she's depressed. எவ்வளோ டாக்டர்ஸ் வந்துடுறாங்க, பெரிய பெரிய ஞானிகள்லாம் வராங்க, சொல்றாங்க there's no கோஸ்ட்மா, உலகத்துல கோஸ்டே கிடையாது, எதுவுமே கிடையாதுமா, அப்படி இப்படி சொல்றாங்க. இந்த பொண்ணு நம்பவே மாட்டேங்குது. சரி சார், நோ நோ, ஐ saw the ghost, I don't want to believe any of your intellectual discussion. However, ஈவன் ஆல்பர்ட் ஐன்ஸ்டைன் சொன்னா கூட அந்த பொண்ணு ஒத்துக்காது, யார் வந்து சொன்னாலும் ஒத்துக்காது. பட் எப்படி பிளாசிவோ அப்ளை பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, நம்ம ஒரிஜினல் ஆன்சஸ்டர்ஸ் வந்து உள்ள வந்து அந்த பொண்ணு இதில் உட்கார வச்சு கண்ணை மூட வச்சு அதில் குளிப்பாட்டி 4 மந்திரம் ஓதுவாங்க. பூமன் சார் நல்ல மந்திரம் ஓதி, அதர்வ வேதால ரொம்ப காமன் இது, ரிமூவிங் கோஸ்ட்ல பார்த்தீங்கன்னா தே வில் யூஸ் இட். யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டு அவங்க என்ன பண்ணாங்க பாரு, இந்த பேயை பிடிச்சி இந்த பானையில் அடிச்சுட்டு சொல்லிட்டு கயிறு கட்டிடும். அந்த துணி கட்டி பேய் வராதானே, பட் ஒரு சிம்பாலிக் ரெப்ரஸன்டேஷன் பண்ண உடனே அந்த பொண்ணுக்கு பயம் போயிடும். That was done even in Chandramukhi movie was used very widely. அது வந்து ஒரு கான்செப்ட் ஆஃப் பிளாசிபோ பண்ணும்போது ஒரு பாசிட்டிவ் சொல்யூஷனை கொடுத்து அந்த டிசீஸை ரிமூவ் பண்ணுறது பிளாசிபோ எஃபெக்ட். நாசிபோ எஃபெக்ட் வந்து ஆப்போசிட். அந்த பேய் இருக்கு, நீ போக முடியாது, 40 தான் நீ கோயிலுக்கு போகணும், அந்த கோயிலுக்கு போய் பரிகாரம் பண்ணணும், அங்கே போய் அங்க பிரதர்ஷனம் பண்ணணும், அங்கே போய் துணி இல்லாமல் நேக்கடா ஓடணும் அப்படின்னு எவ்வளோ சொல்லி கொடுக்குறது வந்து நோசிபோ எஃபெக்ட். People who want to make money use a nocebo effect and make fear more. People who want to find a solution will just do it within one day by just a placebo effect. Adan sir, Shankar sir, adan karanam sir. We can discuss much more on this.
Thank you so much, sir. Very, very enlightening. Thank you.
Anandan.
ஹலோ வணக்கம் சார். ஒன்றும் இல்லை, நிறைய பேர் ரெக்வஸ்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். மிஸ்டர் முத்துக்குமாரனுடைய இமெயில் ஐடியும் ஃபோன் நம்பரும் கொஞ்சம் சேட் பாக்ஸில் போடுறீங்களா?
போடுறேன் சார். தேங்க்யூ. கோபி, நீங்க போட்டுறீங்களா?
இட் வாஸ் நைஸ் செஷன், ரொம்ப யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருந்தது. எல்லாருக்கும் நன்றி.
தேங்க்யூ ஆனந்த் சார். தேங்க்யூ
சார். உங்க இமெயில் ஐடி மட்டும் கொஞ்சம் கொடுத்துருங்க சார், எனக்கு முத்துக்குமார் சார், நான் போடுறேன். ரூப்ஸ்
Gopiji, I think you can have this session, similar session, maybe after Diwali. It was wonderful.
Yeah, we'll make a request to Mr. Muthukumar.
Yeah.
I'll check his availability. We'll do that.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Roops, you have raised your hand. Do you have a question?
Yes.
Yeah, please go on.
Sir, this is Arun Kumar. Sir, I had heard this session very, very informative. In fact, practically, I correlated when Sir spoke about this directions and how. I can even mention there is an hall, marriage hall near this Coimbatore, run by one of the dwellers. I don't want to say the name. There now, I think it's close. I can say also Nadala Sambachati, they had an hall. When we went to check up this for a marriage, when I saw physically the direction and all these things were totally on a different mode. But still, the engineer who was there, he said, no, we have done properly. But I had doubt for a long time. Now, after Sir explained, I understood. Because of these changes, we generally go by what was taught in school. And based on that, it was not matching. I was under the impression. Till now, I had a doubt of it. That is now been clarified. Basically, that was a good. As far as the other myths also has been dissolved. We require this nowadays as repeatedly, which would motivate from us from believing this unbased comments passed by the persons who are now practicing this Vastu. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Arun Kumar. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Oops. Can you please ask your question? Can you go to the next person? Anyone else has a question? You may please unmute and ask your questions. Aram Rajendran sir, Shivakumar sir, Murugan Shivakumar sir.
Kumar, Gopi, both
Hey,
both of you.
Rajendran, how are you? Good to see you.
Fine. Yeah. I was listening right from beginning. Okay.
Oh, very good.
It was very wonderful. Since we are also dealing with a lot of buildings and we have also undergone this kind of Vastu problems and we have faced in different manners. And whatever you talked, I found it ultimately goes right. And a lot of wrong myths you have cleared for different people. Really, it is wonderful. And further, if required, one more session can be had
Yes,
later.
we will plan, sir. We will plan with the JMK's availability.
Thank you,
Thank
Rajendra.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
time too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shivakumar, sir. Anyone else has a question?
Gopi, I
Yeah.
came a little late, so I think I have not listened to it fully. But one common sense question comes to my mind. See, let us assume our ancestors' house, which is there for, let's say, 100 years or 150 years. There are generations which has lived in that house without even knowing what is Vastu and other things. But suddenly, the current generation which is living in that house, when they come across a challenging situation, they relate it to Vastu and try to do some adjustment, thinking that that adjustment would solve the problem. So, our ancestors, many of them have built and lived in a house without using all these Vastu techniques. So, what is your comment on that, Kumar?
Okay, it's a great question actually. To be really a good question. So if you look at our Vastu architecture, one of the things I mentioned about the very critical aspect, one of the 7 design concepts, one of the most important is Chanda Lakshana. And the Chanda Lakshana வந்து ரொம்ப emphasis is given by all the Manasara, Mayamata, in fact Vishwakarma, that King Boga who wrote the Samaradna Sutradhara, he wrote extensive about the Chanda Lakshana. What is that talking about is time, the Desa Kala Parvajanya. That is very, very important. What he's talking about is it's same question what he talked about. As we grow as a family and moving from one generation to another generation, the connection, the emotional connection of the house, because the original owner who built it, he had the original connection with that house. As the generation change, different ownership happens, different type of people come, different mindset comes. For example, new daughter-in-law comes into the house. Then the next generation, another daughter-in-law comes to the house. So various mix and match of the spiritual connection happens. And during that time, what is talking about Chandra Lakshana is apart from the contextual aesthetics that form the spirit as well as the position has to be readjusted at every time the ownership changes. That's a very important concept. No current Vastu consultants use it actually. Thus, that is why in the olden days, if the owner of the house dies, a new, for example, son or daughter, whoever takes up the new house, a revised approach to Vastu model will be done. And that kind of parihas will be done to ensure that the new house aligns with the new ownership. More importantly, we just take over the house and then follow it up. And that is covered very nicely in the Vastu architecture in a different manner, Murugavel.
Yeah, as you say, Kumar, this seems to be very important. When it goes for a different family or different third person coming in there with a different energies, we have experienced this in our past periods. With a different connects, we have seen this.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Practically, you're right, Rajendra. Sokumar, your question is fantastic, valuable.
Very wonderful. Yes.
But that happens. And that can be
Thank
done
you for the
by...
right answer.
So we have to do it. We have to educate people showing that when a new ownership is taken over, and that is done. And then that aligns with the third aspect, Riksha, aligns with the nakshatra of the building as to align with the nakshatra of the owner. How they match it, and all these things has to be done and checked up and see if there is a gap. That gap has to be removed by proper parihara. But the parihara does not belong to putting a material here, getting something here and there. Parihara belongs to much more alignment with the spiritual energy. And the spiritual energy they have to teach to the new owners of the house. That's Murugavel, the answer for that.
Okay, நம்ம personal connect பண்ணிக்கலாம், but just to extend this a bit, change is the only constant thing in life.
Correct.
So the ups and downs, happiness, challenging situation, it's all a part of a life cycle. But many feel that when you are doing a Vastu or any other science, it will be only one tangent, meaning only happiness. So I will not be having any challenges. I will not be having any downtrends and all those kinds of stuff. So instead of this, if a person is spiritually aligned, that life cycle is this, and accept that, I think many of the problems would be solved. That's a personal opinion, not to debate with you.
No, that's the right opinion, because if you look at our Chanda Lakshana, if you remember, I don't know whether you joined by the time, there was a question about Chanda Lakshana says time, Kala, and Parva. Exactly what you're talking about. What he's saying is, even if you construct a perfect 100% Vastu compliance house, if your time is Kala, Desa is a place, and Parva is a surrounding, including people around you. If all the three are not properly aligned with your house, you will have ups and downs in life. So Vastu alone cannot resolve all your problems. It also applies to your wood concept in Tamil solvanga, but Sanskritla வந்து they call it the Rita concept. Rita means cosmic order. So your time, your place, and your parva, Desa Kala Parva, and the மூணுமே வந்து cosmic order Rita கூட align ஆகணும், which is called as Rita time, Rita Kala Desa Parva union. இந்த நாலு அலைன் ஆனதான் வந்து எவ்வளவு பியூட்டிஃபுல்லா 100% வாஸ்து கட்டினாலும் நிம்மதியா இருக்க முடியும். இல்லை லைஃப் அப் அண்ட் டவுன் ஆகிட்டு தான் இருக்கும். அந்த ரிட்டா கான்செப்ட் தான் தமிழ்ல வந்து திருவிழா வந்து ஊடுன்ற கான்செப்ட்ல அவையாரும் திருவிழாவும் பேசினாங்க. தட் இஸ் நாட் ஈக்குவலி அவைலபிள் இன் இங்கிலீஷ்ல வந்து சொல்ல முடியாது, டெஸ்டினி இந்த கர்மா அண்ட் ஆல். பட் சேம் திங் கிருஷ்ணா டாக்ஸ் இன் பகவத்கீதா இஸ் த குண கர்ம காரிய ஃப்ளோ அப்படின்ட்டு பகவத்கீதா கிருஷ்ணன் சொல்லுவார். சேம் கான்செப்ட் இட்ஸ் கால்ட் குண கர்ம காரிய ஃப்ளோ. This is a concept. You said absolutely correct, Shivakumar. And it's also there in the Vastu architecture. It says very clearly that that is why it's important that the owner of the house or at time, the Kala Desa Parva வந்து செக் பண்ணணும், அலைன்மெண்ட் கொண்டு வரணும் ஈச் அண்ட் எவ்ரி ஆஸ்பெக்ட்ல. அதில் வந்து ஆயா, வியாயா, ரிக்ஷா, யோனி, வாரா, திதி இந்த ஆறுமே வந்து அலைன் ஆகணும் ஓனரோட டைம், தேச அண்ட் பருவால. அப்போதான் நீங்க கரெக்ட் ஆகும். அப்படி கூட ups and downs இருக்குன்னு சொல்றாங்க. So your point is extremely valid. Thank you.
Thank you, Kumar.
Yes.
It was, as usual, an interesting session. We'll connect personally. Thank you so much for your insights on this beautiful topic.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Sir Dudani here. I have one
Dudani,
question.
Yeah.
Sir, is there Vastu, does it influence on the children's marriage also?
There is no absolutely no mentioning of marriage as such in any of the Vastu architecture. It's a modern Vastu, sir. அது என்ன சொல்றதுன்னா festering of progenies.
Sir, I don't know Telugu, sir, please.
Okay, what he's talking about is in the original Vastu architecture, what he talks about is festering of progenies. That means if you have this thing, progenies will be developed, fostering will happen. But it doesn't talk about children marriage and all. What is saying that generations of your progenies can be developed in the house. That means obviously, indirectly, it is the marriage of the children, their children, Adam. But it doesn't talk about children's marriage as such. It doesn't talk at all. No Vastu architecture talks about it. It's a modern approach. What they are doing is indirectly they are deviating the meaning of the fostering of the progenies in the concept. They're taking that fostering of the progenies for future generations, they're converting it into marriage. The original Vastu architecture does not talk about children marriage.
Sir, then it is only the progeny means it is the same thing they are telling in another language, no, sir?
Possible, because they're just kind of meaning that fostering progenies means obviously children should get marriage, they should get children, their children should get married, they should get children. Yeah, so that's what they are probably meaning that, but they are using it in the children's marriage now. Yeah.
It means if somebody's children are not getting married, changing the house, do you recommend, sir?
That doesn't come into Vastu architect. Doesn't talk about it. What you can do is you can actually spiritually Vastu Purusha is a spiritual engagement with the house. not a physical engagement. So Vastu architecture never says that you have to change your house. What it says is it is your house. You have to unionize with your house. If it's a rental house, it's a different thing. If it's a own house, then you have to spiritually engage it. So what you have to do is, if something is not happening good, you have to see how spiritually you can modify the system inside. No need to demolish anything. No need to change your house, but try to see where the spiritual gap is there and spiritually engage. As Murugavel Shivakumar pointed out beautifully, life the ups and downs are common. And at the time, the Desa Kala Paruva model you have to apply. What you have to do is, there are 6 items which are to be aligned with your Desa Kala Paruva. Suppose the owner of the house is there. The children, eldest son, the next goes automatically as the eldest son or whatever as per the system. Now, today it may be different. It may be a daughter or something, but in the olden days, always eldest son takes over the property of the owner. So obviously what they do is, if there's an issue with the eldest son, that is time Daisa Kala Parva is aligned with this 6 and modify that accordingly. So there is no need to demolish, change the house, sir. It's also important that spiritually we have to engage and see where the gap is. That is what the Vastu architecture recommends actually.
Sir, how to
spiritually engage.
How to identify this gap, sir?
So you have to apply to the proper Vastu architecture பண்ணிட்டு அந்த 6 model இருக்கு sir. You see Aya, Vyaya. First you have to check up your house based on whatever the house is constructed, how it is aligning with Aya, Vyaya, Riksha, Yoni, Vara and Tidhi. The 6 items, how it is designing. Then there's a design concept of Dig Nirnaya, Bhumi Pariksha, then Aya the Sadvarga, there's a Mana, then Panchaputa, and the Chanta Lakshana, the 7, the 6 and 7, the totally about 6 to 7, 42 items. The 42 items, so how it's related to your owner of the house, the eldest son of the house, you have to put a table, identify how much weightage it comes into, then they will identify. You have a good experienced Vastu expert, like the Stapati, you understand the science of architecture, will be able to do this and find out of the 42 elements, how much gap is there. We'll put a weightage model and see that how the gap can be closed, not by demolishing a house or changing something, but spiritually, how can you change it? That's how that particular Devata, they will ask you to pray or do something like that. That's the model used in architecture, sir.
Right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Very kind of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tawfiq. Tawfiq, go on.
Yes, sir. Sir, it's not related directly to Vastu, but something related to like trees. They say don't keep like banyan tree, mango tree, or jackfruit trees because it may affect the roots, will affect the whole structure. So, you have any idea about this, sir? Or in future, if
That's
you
true.
involve
Vastu talks about it, tree, definitely. Okay. First of all, they say they don't keep any heavy trees in the northeastern direction, not because of anything else, because if you keep a banyan tree or a big tree in the northeast, it will hide the sunlight coming into the house, the air ventilation coming into the house. So they don't want, and then you want to keep, it also, the roots will take the water coming from there. So they don't want to put any heavy trees in the northeastern direction. You can put all the banyan, all the heavy trees in the southwestern direction, provided you have enough space, because banyan tree roots can destroy your house walls or even foundation. So that's why they're saying that if you want to put a heavy tree, so you have enough space, maybe 200 square feet of extra space on the southwest corner, you can put a heavy tree. If you have a very small area, there's a 5 feet only gap is there between your building wall and the compound, don't put a heavy tree. It's harmful for your building as well as other aspects of it. But heavy trees can be put in the southwest direction because it is important to have that to protect you from the heat.
Thank you, sir. Nice session. I sent some comments to Gopi, sir. For I don't want to waste others' time. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Kadresan?
It's fine, sir.
You're okay, sir. Okay. Rajendra? Rajendra, any questions, Rajendra, from your side?
Sir, this is Aryu Karsan.
Yeah. Can I?
Yeah, please go on. Aryu Karsan, please go on. Yeah, go on.
Yes.
Arvikarsan, your voice is not audible. Rajendra, please go on, Rajendra. His voice is not audible.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, this is Rajendra. Just a bit silly question, I can say, but some of these related to the Vastu or related to the search of water and energy, etc. Some experts seem to carry some two rods of copper, and then they show in this direction there is a energy, or in this direction there is a water possibly available, and all that. So apart from this magnet, the compass which you mentioned, are there really any other sensors which will help us to do any Vastu related these kind of searches?
It's a good question, actually, Mr. Rajendra, because they use something called two divine rods. It may be a wooden rod or a metal rod. Or they also use something called Leicester antenna. Leicester antenna is one of the most common used by many of the energy consultants. They also use something called EMF meters, which are very common. If you go to Google and type EMF meters or Leicester antenna, thousands of people sell it, actually. So what is happening is something called ideomotor effect. So if you have time, I can explain much more detail, but ideomotor effect is a psychological phenomena. So when you hold this Leicester antenna with your hand, with both the hands, it has got adjustment of the height and weight. So there's a rod there and there's a beautiful scale on the top. You can adjust that height of that weight hanging on that scale, adjust the height, length, whatever it is. So if you do that way, and depending upon how you hold it in comfort by practicing it, when you're moving, looking for a energy or a spirit or a ghost or whatever you're trying to do, that because of your psychological nervous movement, this antenna starts moving automatically by ideomotor effect, not because of energy. It is energy coming from a nervous system. It's called ideomotor effect in psychology. And that is what is happening because there is no true scientific reason behind it, because this energy fields is very, 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 very weak, sir. Your refrigerator energy, magnetic energy is 20,000 times bigger than the Earth's magnetic field. Your MRI scanner is 100,000 times stronger than the Earth's magnetic field. So the Leicester antenna cannot move by the Earth magnetic field or by a ghost or spirit, but it moves by the ideomotor. Same, the EMF measurements are happening because of any kind of electrical appliances, wire, the EMF measurements measure the energy. What they do is they straight away use a confirmation bias and they show that value of the meter as some ghost is there. And that is what happening in systems. There's absolutely, there is, apart from compass, there is no instrument in the world who can measure the actual energy, but the energies are measured for navigation. For example, the energy magnetic field is useful for navigating in the aeroplanes or ships or even birds. So that navigation model cannot be used for Vastu. So we cannot, there are instruments to measure the energy for navigation purposes. Definitely there is no instrument available to measure for Vastu purpose side. There's no instrument at all.
Acha. Yeah, thank you. So it means that you can't actually find out where you can actually do the digging for the bore well to in search of water, or
they are all not by scientific principles, sir. Not by scientific principles. There's no
no,
energy
and
comes out of it.
yeah. So I just watched another video where they also use that same rod actually to show how your various chakras are getting blocked because of mobile phone use and all that.
This is it's all ideomotor effect, sir. Ideomotor effect is a very useful phenomena when you have confirmation bias. Let's give an example to you, okay? I am calling, suppose somebody is calling you. Suppose you are the specialist with chicken. You have this Leicester antenna with you. Now, somebody is calling you in a house and saying that we are afraid of this, maybe a spirit or ghost is there. Something they're saying. So you already know that they have a confirmation. They have a belief. It's called confirmation bias, okay?
Right.
That's the part. They have that one, fear and confirmation bias, that there is a spirit in the house. They're calling you. Now, what happens is you are an authority of the system because they're calling you because you are an authority. So there is authority bias joins them. So the authority bias and the confirmation bias acts on them straight away on before you enter the house. You enter the house, you go there. You already know that there is a spirit or ghost somewhere in the corner. They're already thinking about it. So automatically what happens, your confirmation bias, your authority bias, which also called survivorship bias, what is called. When automatically as an expert for you, you have two things you can decide. Either you can say, these people are fools. There's no energy, there's no ghost. I'm going to say nothing is available. Or you can give a neutral saying that, okay, there may be something, we have to remove their fear. You may be a good person in your heart saying that I have to remove a fear. Let me apply a placebo effect. Okay? If you apply a placebo effect, you can do a positive approach to remove the fear. So what you do is you decide yourself what you want to do. That becomes your thought process as converted into a nervous movement system. So when you're taking the antenna and move around you, obviously at a particular point where the ghosts are expected, your own nervous system, whether it's placebo or nocebo, what you have decided, it will move this laser antenna automatically without your knowledge. You won't move it. Your nervous system will move it. Please, you have time, please go to Google or go to ChatGPT or Grok and type ideomotor effects of psychology. It will explain to you exactly what I am saying, sir. That's what they do all the time.
Thank you. Beautiful answer. Thank you. Thank you for
Sir,
demystifying.
Dudani here again.
Yeah, go on, Dudani.
Sir, there are some ratnas being put below the floor. Does they have any effect on us?
Well, can you repeat the question, Mr. Dudani?
There are about 5 different ratnas being brought, and then a small hole is dug in the floor, and it is put there.
Stones, stones, right?
Stones, yes, sir.
Okay. No, that is all modern Vastu concept of placebo effect, sir. See, they don't have, Vastu architecture doesn't say about any stones where you have to bury or anything like that. It's similar to you see chakra put below the God's place or steps like that. It's all placebo effect. It is nothing wrong in putting it because they want to use it to bring some kind of a confidence and optimism to the people who have mental suffering or fear or whatever they have it. But Vastu architecture from a scientific principle does not recommend any stones anywhere to put in. But sometimes in the walls also they put Ganesh picture or Lakshmi goddess or Perumal Ji, Lord Shiva in the walls also during construction. All are placebo effect model. Scientifically, there is no reason for any of them. It's used as symbolic Devata models actually. So depending upon how you look at it, suppose you are what we call it as superior high common denominator, mid-level common denominator, lowest common denominator. So in the system of Vastu architecture, or even in our system of Upanishadic or Darshanas, there's nobody they're only at a different conscious level. People at a low conscious level, people at a higher conscious level, at a mid-conscious level. They call it as lowest. In English, if you transfer this from Sanskrit, is the lowest common denominators, mid common denominator, high common denominators. So high common denominators are high conscious people. They don't need any of this because mentally they're strong enough to accept that, as Murugavel Shivakumar pointed out early, ups and downs are common in life and I'll go with that what it is required. So spiritually they're connected to live their life. The lowest common denominator people is difficult for them because they do not have that mental strength or spiritual understanding to accept the whole universe as a common energy. So they want an idol. They want a lot of Muruga, Ganesha, go to temple, do festivals, pujas, abhishekams. They want to get that. For the lowest common denominator people, they are only low conscious level. They can always increase the conscious level at any point of time. This kind of stones and all these things help them to consciously accept it and from a placebo effect become more optimistic. A stone vachachi, I kept the stone, so things will happen good. So they become very positive. So it's a kind of a model used by placebo by psychologists and psychiatrists use it a lot. But the Vastu consultants have taken that as a forward way. So as long as the Vastu consultant use the placebo effect, there's nothing wrong, sir. It is positive only. It can be done. It should be done also for many people. But the problem is, unfortunately, if not all, some of the Vastu consultants use nocebo effect. Nocebo effect means instill more fear, more parihara, and then they continuously create problem for people to continuously do this parihara day and day to make money. So as long as the stones are kept and given a placebo confidence, we call it as placebo confidence optimistic model. If they do that, it can be done, Mr. Dudani. It is accepted even psychology perspective.
Oh, right, sir. So same thing with the copper rods also, sir?
With the copper rod, Sri Chakra, for example, some people come into puja room and put in the puja room, they put a stage, they will bury a Sri Chakra, put a granite on top of it. then they'll put a Shivalinga on top of it or a goddess on top of it. It's all placebo, optimistic confidence levels.
Oh, right, sir.
The most
So thank you
important
very
thing for
much.
us is you should not allow that to convert itself to a nocebo effect. That is where the problem comes in. Most people are caught into the nocebo effect. They get fear for
Oh.
everything. If I don't do it, so for example, Saturday if I eat meat, Lord Balaji will punish me. If Tuesday I will eat meat, somebody will punish me. This is the nocebo effect, the fear of getting a punishment for doing something, which is not there in the truth. No God is going to punish you just because you ate a chicken on a Saturday afternoon. But people believe that. That's the nocebo effect, which is not placebo.
Right.
That's the difference, sir.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sir,
Great,
one
sir.
last
Yes.
question, sir. There's one in the chat box from Dr. Arivukar, sir. In general, stone carved pillars and sculptures are not advisable for houses. Is it true? What may be the reason, sir?
Okay,
This is a question
basically
from
with the concrete structures, they're not required at all, because in the olden days, why they use the stone carved pillars and sculptures basically for two reasons actually is they didn't have concrete, they didn't have most of the houses are constructed with stones, granite stones or basalt stones or Gasper stones or any kind of the stones, very heavy stones those houses used. They didn't have this kind of brick what we use now, and the concrete, very light bricks, but the concrete they become very strong. Reinforced concrete roofing we never did it. In the olden days, for example, the roofing is done with a very what is the right name? Rajendran or somebody from civil side can tell you that lintel. The lintel is very strong. But to put a roof today, we can put a reinforced concrete with the concrete everything out M10, M20, M30 strength, which is very light but very strong. In those days, sir, if you look at it, the lintel is extremely strong with the hard stone. And also walls are very heavy. So for them to bring a ramiam or any kind of a concept, they use the sculptures and the carved pillars. That's what they used for it, to bring ramiam, the beauty and everything out, because the empty stones would become very hard looking. But later on, when the system changed to concrete models, wooden pillars and all this model, this is not required. So basically, from a Vastu perspective, you can keep it, nothing wrong in that. But from a Chandra Lakshana perspective, based on a concrete reinforced houses, you don't have to have the sculpted or carved elements. There's no need for that. That's why they're saying that. It's not because of any kind of inauspicious bad things can happen or something like that. They are not required based on the original Vastu model.
There's a question from Mr. Muthukumar, G. Muthukumar. Is there any meaning in applying Vastu in apartments above 12 floors?
What is that, Gopi? Can you please repeat?
Yes, sir. Is there any meaning in applying Vastu in apartments above 12 floors?
See, Vastu Manasara explains only up to 12-story building. That's what they explained. They didn't go beyond that. So it's a good question whether we can apply above the 12-story building or not. But the fundamental principles never change from what we can apply. But there's an apartment above the 12th floor. Even today, right, when you go to the 12th floor mass apartment building, people do not follow 100%. So from a Vastu architecture, they went only up to 12-story building. They're not gone above that. But the same principles can be applied beyond buildings above 12 apartments. There's no problem at all. If you're able to apply the original principles, it's only extension of the model. Because if you look at the original Vastu principles, all based on formulas and calculations, not by theoretical stuff. So the same formulas can be applied even for apartments above that. I think we can extend it comfortably.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.